We got the media team in here. We're the media
We're the
team.
media team. We got content. TV's in the go. We got TV in the go, Wack.
You looking for that fire Clubhouse content? Well, you need to subscribe to the home. Hey, yo, Clubhouse TV. Let's get to the content.
That's a good one.
Spin the block.
Got old Cuffy paperwork came in. Police agreement and the other arraignment. I guess Prince gonna do a reading of that. The world is a ghetto. Man, we got the alright, well, if those of y'all don't know, Big Meech contacted me via FaceTime about 3 days ago. And he challenged me
Spin the block.
to go and get, word for word, he said, tell Cuffy to send police sentence agreement and the sentencing transcripts. He said, I bet you he won't send them to you. I said, well, you got all the paperwork. He said, I don't got that. That ain't my case. So I said, it ain't no big deal. So first I told Prince, go pull the pre-sentence agreement and the transcripts. Prince doubled back, say he can't get to it. I said, what you mean you can't get to it? Here go the nigga information. He says it's sealed. Okay, that don't make sense. Why it's sealed, but tell Cuffy, hey, they say it's sealed. Oh, no, ain't nothing. Let me put you with my daughter. Tell your daughter what you need. So I tell Prince, give me the docket numbers to what's sealed. So Prince give me the docket numbers. So I specifically tell her, hey, I need these two. She calls the attorney. Attorney sent it to her. She emailed it to me yesterday. I want to put emphasis on, because people going to be saying, Wack, how could you get sealed documents? Well, whoever the individual is could always contact his attorney. They got all the documents, and that's what happened. And I got record of who emailed them to me last night. So the sealed documents that I got was emailed to me by Cuffy and his family. Without saying too much, Cuffy did get 27 years in the feds. 10 years for drugs, 17 for a gun, and 2 bodies. So that will be the basis of the reading of these documents, or a breakdown of what his charges was, how much time they gave him, and why they gave him this time. And then we'll go to the charts and see what the low is for drugs and the high is for drugs. The low is for a gun, the high is for a gun. And what the low is for a body. When we say low, we talking about the mandatory minimum. 10 years for the drugs, 17 for, I believe, 2 bodies and a gun. So we be doing a breakdown whenever Prince want to get to it. We read Meech's shit. Was that with Meech's Frank's hearing? You know, where it says he hooked up with Suarez. Remember the name Suarez? Who he put with Tammy, with instructions to put Tammy with Cuffy. Now the drugs Cuffy's in there for, gotta see with Prince, are these the same drugs he got from the Mexican dude that was linked to Meech's putting together? We gotta see if that's what it say, cause I see 5 keys of cocaine, 1 key of heroin. We gotta see what's what. Well, we will be doing a reading. It's only about 50 pages. One document's like 15 pages, like 35. And we'll listen and see if the math is mathing. Well, Wack, what you think? Well, I scanned through it. I think it's Pizza Man on Figueroa. Personally. But we gonna see when the reading hits. We read one, we gotta read the other. Believe we got the charts. For with the mandatory minimum off for certain cases and shit. So we'll go. And then if things don't make sense, we'll get more in depth. We'll just pull everything. Well, we got the sentencing agreement, the stipulations of you taking time, which says it'll be like shit like this. Okay, based on this crime, this person and this person and this person and this person was involved, and you're saying you were involved with these people. Some people are gonna say, nah, I ain't saying that, I'm not agreeing to that. To us in the streets, that's solid. Then you find work where it says, yes, everything you stipulate USA, federal government, is what they did and I did. And usually when you see shit like that, they say it ain't solid. So we'll let Prince do the breakdown. And yeah, Prince ain't got no dog in the fight, and we'll see what's what. Send it to the YouTube streets and let that be like the RTD and the MTA. Stop every 3-4 blocks and let them talk about it. Who was that, Rich? Rich may want to come participate and read the paperwork.
Hey, where you want to start at? The
Who got the
playground?
what paperwork? What the hell going
You
on?
want me to tell a story? What you want me to do?
Hold on. Well, Rich, you know, we do represent the exposers over here.
Okay.
And I told you Meech gave me instructions.
Yeah.
Wack, you owe me. Here go the instructions I got for you.
Oh man, Cuffy got some bad work, bro.
Hold on. Listen, that is yet to be determined by the people.
Oh,
I'm
Prince
just
finna do his thing.
one individual, and I've been known. You know, my reading skills ain't that good, and you know what I'm saying, I don't really know how to kind of like my understanding of what I'm reading. You know, I'm dyslexic and I got an auditory processing problem, and I'm really not too bright. I don't know what I'm reading.
Ah, damn, we got some exclusive. Oh shit. Hold on. Let me wake up and get to my room. Get to the content room.
I will tell you, say this, is ask Cuffy for the documents. He had his daughter get with me. I gave her the documents I needed. She contacted the attorneys, and she sent them. The reason why I'm saying this is because these documents were sealed documents.
Oh my God.
But you can get them if, you know what I'm saying, direct people, attorneys and shit like that. So they sent them last night, right? I sent them to two people. Prince being one, because he's an exposer and he goes over shit because he know I got a dyslexic auditory process and I can't really comp shit.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
We gonna go through
I got a Suge Knight, but I don't really know how to read and write. I don't know that type of shit, so I depend on him to tell me what's going on. I'm pretty sure this will be some more content for the trolls out there. Go ahead on, pump that algorithm.
Wack don't know how to read. Told y'all niggas that nigga was crazy.
So I sent it to two people, Prince, and let me see if you can tell me who else I sent it to. You know me, I got
Cuffy.
Big Meech.
I mean, shit, I had to send it to him because he told me to go get it. And I'm like, nigga, here, the homie sent me this. Boom, nigga. You don't know what's going on, nigga. There you go.
Damn, I did say shout out to Meech the other day when after you said he called
All
in.
I know is when I sent him this shit, he FaceTimed me back and said, you did what you said you was gonna do. Most niggas wouldn't have sent me this. I said, bro, what you mean? That's the documents you said he wouldn't send. I'm sending you these documents, nigga, to let you know the homie sent these documents. He ain't ducking nothing, nigga.
Right.
He smiled at me and said, I know you're giving your wife's birthday party down in Miami, but definitely have a gift for her. I don't know where the hell that came from.
Damn.
I don't know if the nigga was a subliminal threat. I don't know what. He was kind of smiling and
No, that's that Mafia Don shit.
I don't know what's going on, bro. Why would he? And I'm like, look, nigga, here go the paperwork. The homie said you wouldn't send. He sent it, nigga. Here you go, nigga. Got the humped up, nigga. Prince goes and texting me. And I'm like, Prince, why are you sending me texts in the foreign language? This shit is, I can't do. What is this language? This shit I can't read this shit. I don't know if it's German, Swahili. I don't know what the Arabic. I don't know what the is going on with the language. I said, I can't read what you're telling me is saying. He said, listen, how about this, Wack? How about I just break it down one time on the Hunter side? I said, that's cool, bro. When they go to documents, I told Cuffy, I sent him a screenshot. The documents came from your daughter. I'm going to send it to my team. They're going to break it down. We're going to cover it. He said, bet. So again, I don't know what's going on. All I know is I sent him to Meech. I sent him to Prince. Prince texted me a bunch of shit. I don't know what he's sending me. Maybe his phone is in a weird set. I don't know what's going on. Meech calling back, smiling, talking about he got a birthday present for my wife. I don't know if that's a subliminal. I don't know what's going on. R&B seems to think, no, it wasn't subliminal. He was genuine. I'm like, well, why the nigga want to get you a birthday present? Nigga trying to get my woman? She said, what? I don't think he's that crazy to be doing that. I just think whatever you sent him, because he said you was a man of your word. I said, well, why he want to send me something like I gave him something in his favor or something? That's Cuffy shit. That ain't his shit. Like, what is he? She said, I don't know. You got to get with Prince. Maybe he'll go over it. So Prince got it. I think it's the 1 through 35 one. Was able to kind of like see the charges.
We got to start from the beginning, Wack.
Well, I wouldn't. You talking about the two documents, or you talking about some other shit?
The two documents, yeah.
But the 1 through 35 is where he breaks down
right
the drugs, the cocaine, the heroin, a gun, and 2 bodies, right?
Right.
And if I can remember, I saw something that said 27 years, I believe 10 years for the drugs, 17 for the gun, and 2 bodies, right?
right, to run
and you kept
consecutively.
putting
Can I
emphasis on.
can I ask y'all a question?
Hold on,
Yeah.
bro.
Is there a reason why he got less than the mandatory minimums?
Oh,
What are you?
100%.
Wait, hold on. What is y'all talking about right now? Oh, you know what? Listen,
Stand
Prince.
by, Rich. Stand
Go
by.
ahead,
Okay,
bro. Cause
all
I
right,
don't know
Prince.
y'all
All right,
talking
all right,
about
all
some
right.
shit. What's going on? You know, again, uh,
That's
Brock.
why I said we got to
Brock
start from the
inspired
beginning,
this
brother.
conversation. Bang over there, then jumped in the boot. You know, he know what's going on.
Let me ask you a question. Rich. You know Cuffy was facing the death penalty?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
yeah, for the body. Yeah, right.
The body, I thought it was two bodies.
It was two bodies.
Damn,
Two
so he
bodies in the gun, right?
Two bodies in the
got up
gun.
off of deep, right?
Or for two DPs, you know how?
Man, I'm ready to
Wait,
hear it, bro.
hold on, bro. Are you telling me when you went through the paperwork that you all this is discussed?
All this is discussed. All
Well,
in the
we
work.
might as well run the man. We might as well change the title and run the paperwork. Cause now I want to know. You know, I guess this is what the teacher was talking about when they was telling me I should have paid attention in school.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Because I really couldn't comprehend what was going on. I don't know what's going on.
It's a cold lineup, too. It's cold what they look at it.
A lineup.
It's cold. How you get from under DP, Rich?
Man,
I never see.
he had to
No,
give up serious shit, huh?
I never see them do it like this. Cuffy, two superseding indictments, right?
Okay, hold on. Are you reading the document right now?
Give me one sec.
Can you identify? Yeah, because you supposed to went over it. Your phone is in some type of mode where whatever you text and shit, I don't know what language that's in. So let everybody know what documents you reading. Each one. I sent two. So I don't know if you didn't went and did others. The two documents was sent to me is what I asked you to go through and go over. Because Meech told me, I bet Cuffy won't send you his pre-sentence agreement and
It's plea agreement.
his plea agreement. And I text Cuffy and said, Meech is telling me you won't send me this. And Cuffy, like, you got me up. He put me with his daughter, and the daughter emailed it to me yesterday. Now, when I asked you about these things to go pull them, told me you couldn't pull those two things, correct?
Sir,
Why did you tell me you couldn't pull them?
they were sealed.
So I took those things you told me was sealed, and I asked the daughter for it, because I'm like, it's got to be some type of mistake or something the court chose to do. Cuffy ain't got nothing to hide. And I sent that to the daughter. The daughter contacted the legal, and they emailed it to me yesterday. I sent it to you. So now I guess we can go over it. But just let everybody know when we going through what document it is, and then let's see what it is.
So the first document, Rich, is going to be the Cuffy waiver of the indictment hearing, right? That's going to set up that plea agreement. So if you go to the waiver of indictment and plea hearing, that's how you understand he's facing the death penalty. He waived preceding third indictment, so that way he get up on the 360 months mandatory. Right?
Right.
Now I'm gonna go to the plea hearing. This is what was sealed. If you go to the waiver of indictment hearing, they have a bench conference inside the waiver of indictment hearing, and that got sealed. Right? So I'm gonna go to his plea agreement real quick. It's coming from the plea agreement, United States District Court, Eastern District of Missouri, Eastern Division, United States versus Cuffy. The parties are the defendant, Gatlin, represented by defense counsel. This agreement does not and is not intended to bind any government office
Slow
or
down.
agency.
Is Cuffy Gatlin?
Yep.
Okay.
Diane Lamont Gatlin,
Yeah,
aka
Dion
Cuffy.
Lamont Gatlin.
Dion,
Okay.
aka
Let's go.
Cuffy.
Let's
Cuffy
go.
spelled C-U-F-F and C-U-F-F-Y. This agreement does not and is not intended to bind any government office or agency other than the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Missouri. It says right here, pursuant to Rule 11 Charlie Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure in exchange for defendant's voluntary plea of guilty to the offenses of 1, conspiracy to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine as charged in count 1 of the 3rd superseding criminal information. Now, Rich, this is very important. You see how it says criminal information?
Yeah.
This was the deal. If he agreed to take this plea deal, then that 3rd supersediment was not going to go before a grand jury. He took the actual plea deal the same day that he got indicted on that 3rd superseding indictment. That was part of the deal. That's what was missing from the paperwork. So when you read it, you'll understand it now. Right?
Right.
Give me 1 second. Count 2. Conspiracy to distribute 1 kilogram or more of heroin as charged in the criminal information, not the indictment. Attempt to possess with the intent to distribute 1 kilogram or more heroin as count 3, not in the indictment. Attempt to possess with the intent to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine as charged in count 4 of the criminal information. And discharge of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime, aiding and abetting another and acting together, resulting in the deaths of Theodis Howard on April 5th, 2010, and Terrence Morgan on May 2nd, 2013, as charged in count 5 of the criminal information. The government makes the following agreements. The government agrees that no further federal prosecution will be brought in this district relative to defendants' involvement in the crimes charged in the 1st superseding indictment and or the criminal information filed in relation to this plea agreement, of which the government is aware at this time. The government agrees to withdraw the previously filed information seeking enhanced punishment. Now, that's the issue. He also got under those enhancements by taking his plea deal. The government agrees to withdraw the previous filed information seeking enhanced punishment pursuant to Title 21, Section 851 for the drug trafficking offenses. In addition, the parties further agree that at the time of the sentencing, the parties will jointly recommend to the court that an appropriate sentence to be imposed upon the defendant is 27 years, an aggregate of 324 months imprisonment as follows. As the counts 1, 2, 3, and 4, the narcotic trafficking charges, the parties jointly recommend that a sentence of 10 years be imposed. And as the count 3, discharge of a firearm resulting in death, the parties recommend that a consecutive term of 17 years be imposed. Defendant fully understands that the parties are jointly recommending the aggregate sentence of 27 years. I'm going to stop right there, Rich. I know you got questions.
So, is there a principal target of Cuffy? Are we going to get to?
Yeah, we're going to get to it.
Okay.
We're going to get to how he know exactly the operation, who's involved. You got Fidel Suarez named in the operation. Remember, he has his own operation that they're trying to take down. So I'm going to give you that story in the paperwork because it reads it in the paperwork.
Okay, shit, I'm right here with you. I'm following you, Prince. You the leader.
Any more questions real quick on what he's facing, how he's facing it, what his enhancement sentencing guidelines were?
Yeah, where was the ceiling at, and where did he get to?
Ceiling was at death penalty.
Oh, okay.
On the 3rd supersediment, life prior to the 3rd super indictment, with sentencing enhancements for being the kingpin and the head of the organization. So all of that, plus the recommendation of 360 months being the minimum to life. So 360 to life, joint recommendation of 327. That's under the minimum right there. But you got to get rid of the enhancements and you got to get rid of the DP to get up under that minimum. See how that go? All right. Elements of the crime. As to count 1, conspiracy to distribute cocaine. The defendant admits to knowingly violating Title 21, and admits there is a factual basis for the plea, and further fully understands that the elements of the crimes are, beginning at a time unknown, but up to including 2009 through including July 2015, within the Eastern District of Missouri and elsewhere, defendant and others reached an agreement or came to an understanding to distribute a mixture of substance containing a detectable amount of cocaine, a Schedule II controlled substance, to another individual. Defendant voluntarily, knowingly, and intentionally joined the agreement or understanding either at the time of the agreement or when the understanding was first reached or at some later time while it was still in effect. At the time the defendant joined the agreement or understanding, defendant knew the purpose of the agreement. As to count 2, conspiracy to distribute heroin, the defendant admits to knowingly violating Title 21 and admits there is a factual basis for the plea, and further understands the elements of the crime are, beginning at a time unknown but up to including 2009 through July 2015. So the same thing for count 2. He attempted defendant reached an agreement or came to an understanding to distribute a mixture of substance containing a detectable amount of heroin, a Schedule I controlled substance. The rest is the same. As to count 3, attempt to possess with the intent to distribute heroin, the defendant admits to violating Title 21. Beginning at this time, this date is different. The period begins February 4th, 2013 and February 7th, 2013 within the Eastern District of Missouri. Count: attempt to possess with intent to distribute cocaine. The defendant admittedly violating Title 21 and admits that there's a factual basis for the plea and further understand the elements of the crime. Beginning at a time unknown but up to including the period between February 13, 2013 and February 18, 2013 within the Eastern District of Missouri and elsewhere. Everything else is the same. As to count 5, discharge of a firearm resulting in death. Pay attention to these parts right now, Rich. The defendant admits to knowingly violating Title 18, State Code Section 924, and admits there is a factual basis plea, and further understands that the elements of the crime are, on or about April 5th, 2010, within the Eastern District of Missouri, defendant committed the crime of conspiracy to commit heroin and cocaine. Defendant aiding and abetting others and acting together knowingly possess a firearm in furtherance of those crimes. Defendant aiding and abetting others and acting together knowingly discharged a firearm in furtherance of those crimes. Defendant aiding and abetting others and acting together knowingly used the firearm to cause the death of Theodis Howard, which was murder. On or about May 2nd, 2013, within the Eastern District of Missouri. Defendant committed the crime of conspiracy to distribute heroin and cocaine as charged in counts 1 and 2. Defendant aiding and abetting others and acting together knowingly possess a firearm in furtherance of those crimes. Defendant aiding and abetting others and acting together knowingly discharged a firearm in furtherance of those crimes. Defendant aiding and abetting others and acting together knowingly used the firearm to cause the death of Terrence Morgan, which was murder. 2 bodies, Rich, not 1.
Man, Cuffy should, how and does he even think he should be coming out of that jail based off of all, man, damn, this nigga right
Let
here.
me tell you the story though, the story that they know. This gonna blow your mind. I ping up and share the room.
Yeah, share the room, man. It's breaking news and exclusive.
Don't forget, this is the sealed paperwork that never out. Beginning at a time prior to or during 2009 and up to and including July 16, 2015 in the Eastern District of Missouri and elsewhere, multiple defendants at various levels within the supply chain conspired to possess with the intent to distribute and to distribute substances containing heroin, cocaine, meth, marijuana, and other controlled substances within the Eastern District of Missouri. About to name some names, y'all ping up and share the room.
Let's get to it.
Defendant Gatlin, knowing the purpose of the agreement and conspiracy, knowingly joined it while it was in effect. Gatlin was the leader and organizer of the Gatlin Drug Trafficking Organization, Gatlin DTO, which consisted of 5 or more people. The amount of mixture or substance containing a detectable amount of cocaine attributed to and reasonably foreseeable to defendant Gatlin is more than 5 keys. The amount of mixture of substance containing a detectable amount of heroin attributed to and reasonably foreseeable to defendant Gatlin is more than 1 key. Defendant Gatlin conspired with Fidel Suarez. Defendant Gatlin conspired with Fidel Suarez, Lorenzo Tall Dog Reno Gibbs, Terrence Black Morgan, nephew, Andre Dre Dirty Rush, Timothy Professor Rush, and others to comprise the Gatlin Drug Trafficking Organization.
So they conspired with Fidel Suarez. Whoa, okay.
And remember, I'm going to go back a little bit. Defendant Gatlin, knowing the purpose of the agreement and conspiracy, knowingly joined it while it was in effect. Pay attention to the wording.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing the timeline.
We're going to put it all together with the Big Meech shit, right? The goal of Gatlin DTO was to obtain bulk distribution quantities of controlled substances, including cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana, by purchasing said substances in large quantities to receive bulk discounts. In turn, the Gatlin DTO would then distribute the illegal controlled substances primarily within the Eastern District of Missouri at higher prices in order to make a cash profit on the sale of cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana to other persons for further distribution on consumption. Lorenzo Gibbs, among other things, not only aided and abetted couriers, assisted in the storage of narcotics, and acted as a distributor for the Gatlin DTO. Gatlin's association with Gibbs is firmly established by Title III intercepts, surveillance, and evidence of their long-standing association. Terrence Morgan acted as a distributor of narcotics for the Gatlin DTO. He routinely stored and distributed narcotics, including meth, for the DTO. Morgan's activities occurred at locations including his residence on Gravis Road in the city of St. Louis. Title III intercepts and surveillance firmly established that Morgan routinely communicated with and reported to and sought direction from Gatlin, including in relation to Morgan's management of Gatlin's DTO distributor known as Nephew. Andre Dre Dirty Rush knowingly acted as a distributor for the Gatlin DTO and occasionally stored distribution amounts of controlled substances for the Gatlin DTO at his residence on Phillips. Defendant Andre Rush, at the direction of Gatlin, also participated in acts of violence in furtherance of the conspiracy. These included the retaliatory murder of Howard and the preventative murder of Morgan. Now, those 2 bodies, Rush, remember, Howard allegedly told on Gatlin's brother in the previous Fed case. Morgan is on this case. The feds are alleging that Morgan was taken out because he was talking to the feds. That's going to be in the paperwork as well. Timothy Rush acted as a courier, facilitator, and a distributor for the Gatlin DTO. Timothy Rush, among other things, stored distribution amounts of Gatlin DTO narcotics at his residence at Donica. The totality of the investigation, including surveillance, judicially authorized and lawful Title III intercepts, reverse operations, consensual recordings, surveillance, and law enforcement operations, established that defendant Gatlin organized and led the Gatlin DTO. Defendant Gatlin admits knowingly acting as the leader of the Gatlin DTO in relation to illegal narcotic distribution activities in St. Louis and the Eastern District of Missouri. Defendant Gatlin admits knowingly acting as the leader of the Gatlin DTO. During the course of the conspiracy, Gatlin actively sought and negotiated with sources of supply of illegal narcotics outside of the St. Louis area. Here comes Suarez. During the course of the judicially authorized monitoring of calls to and from telephones used by Gatlin, Investigators learned that Gatlin was obtaining meth, heroin, coke, and marijuana from Fidel Suarez in California. Pay attention to these dates, Rich. For example, on October 12, 2012, a series of text messages were intercepted over target telephone 1. The last 4 is 2330. The text messages were incoming and outgoing text messages to and from Fidel Suarez using cell phone number last 4 4269. The electronic texts, which were coded in portions, outlined the negotiations for the shipment of multiple pounds quantities of meth from Suarez to Gatlin in St. Louis, and the discussion about the shipment of other types of drugs. The initial messages read, this is coming from Suarez, "Let me know if you want to mess with the shutters." Gatlin replies, "Hey bro, need shutters, go cards." Suarez says, "Are you sure? Give me a number." "A number what? I'm getting, are you guys on roll with it? Cards, you think?" Gatlin says, "We can do a lot, but they sell for $1,300 an ounce." Suarez says, "Give me my price whole. Same size like the first time. One time around." Suarez says, "Need an answer." Gatlin says, "We will make around 20,000, 29. How much will you give me?" Gatlin says 3 to 4 days. Suarez says, "Need an answer." Gatlin says, "I'll give you $1,600 a pound." Suarez says, 16 for the Dodgers and balance for the cards. Suarez says, 16 for the Dodgers and balance for the cards. Gatlin says, "Cool, let's do it." Suarez says, "Okay." Suarez says, "Are you sure 3 days?" Gatlin says, "Let's say no longer than 5 days. Among other things, the intercepts support the conclusion that Suarez is discussing pound quantities of meth, and Gatlin agreed to pay 16 for the pound. This is an average price a pound for meth in the Midwest. The back and forth conversation regarding 3 days and no longer than 5 days appears to be the amount of time Gatlin is asking for in order to sell the meth and pay Suarez. This is common in drug distribution networks when sources of supply are able to provide a drug shipment on credit to a distributor. Further coded communication between Gatlin and Suarez discussed Chinese food and little side orders and COD. These are references to ounces or multiple ounces as opposed to entire kilograms, for cash on delivery for amounts of China white heroin. Gatlin and Suarez also communicate about Landscape, marijuana, and Molly's, ecstasy, which Gatlin inquired about Landscape multiple times. The intercepts are consistent with Gatlin's existing narcotic relationship with Suarez and Gatlin's ongoing efforts to obtain additional distribution quantities of narcotics from Suarez.
Cuffy was getting money, man.
So now we know how deep him and Suarez were getting.
Yeah, he was green. He was doing the meth, coke, and heroin. He was hitting all angles.
Everything. Again, all from Suarez. Suarez is giving him everything.
Damn, Suarez was a real plug.
So now people can't say he was no real plug.
No, that was a plug. That was the plug. That's the one that niggas been talking about for years. That's him.
Mm-hmm. Breaking news, huh? All right, let me keep reading this. And anybody got any questions? You know how we do. We want to keep rocking there. In 2012, Gatlin and the Gatlin DTO received more than 5 kilograms of a mixture of substance containing coke from Suarez, and more than 1 pound of mixture of substance containing a detectable amount of meth from Suarez. Notice how they're not putting the exact amounts. They're just putting the limit so they can say. So it's 5 kilograms and 1 kilogram of meth.
Right, so they're going to be able to add that up incrementally based off of, yeah, I'm with you.
Got you. So the following intercepts are a small representative sample of Gatlin's communications with members of the St. Louis distribution organization. So they got him talking to Morgan on December 2012. He called Gatlin. Morgan said, "Just waiting on nephew, that's about it. Need to get at Tuh." And everything. So Morgan then asked Gatlin if Gatlin had talked to Gibbs, and Gatlin said that he had not, but that Gibbs had been over with Professor, which is Timothy Rush, and then the day before. So they got Gatlin on the jack. They got him on the Title III. I'm gonna skip over this conversation. Let's get to these reverse operations. On February 7, 2013, Gatlin attempted to acquire 2 keys of heroin from a purported cartel source of supply in Memphis, Tennessee. On February 18, 2013, Gatlin attempted to acquire 15 keys of coke from the same purported cartel source of supply in the South St. Louis County. Now, Rich.
Let me ask you a question, Prince. Now, these new people that Cuffy is trying to procure drugs from in Memphis, and are these by way of Suarez, or is this an additional connect?
I'm so glad you asked that question because these niggas is cops.
All right.
So when he reaching outside to the Memphis plug is an undercover agent.
The plot thickens. Wow.
It's going thick. Wait till we get to the bodies. We ain't get to the bodies yet, Rich. This some outpost shit. If you know, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. This shit made no sense. So on February 7, 2013, this is where the reverse operations come in. Gatlin attempted to acquire 2 keys of heroin from a cartel source of supply in Memphis, Tennessee. On February 18, 2013, he attempted to acquire 15 keys from the same source of supply. Defendants at this time were unaware that Gatlin had arranged for the deliveries with the undercover law enforcement officer. Gatlin believed he was negotiating deliveries with the cartel source of supply. It was actually an undercover agent.
Wow.
On February 4th, 2013, Gatlin met with the undercover agent in Atlanta, Georgia, and ultimately arranged for delivery of 2 keys of heroin to the Gatlin DTO. During the initial recorded meeting, Gatlin's statements included the following. Gatlin asked the UC, "Do you do the tar or the white?" Gatlin was referring to obviously heroin, which the UC said he could provide, explained that's perfect. Gatlin further explained that Gatlin could do 2 to 3 bricks a week if the quality was good. Gatlin explained that for now, he wanted the boy, the cocaine, the weed, all that shit. It's my town. I can do whatever I want to do.
This nigga telling the police that?
This nigga telling the police that. This you can't make this up.
Damn.
He thinking that's the cartel nigga.
No, I know he thinks that he's talking to the cartel, but he's just wow.
So Gatlin explained, we specialize in cocaine, Gatlin explained. We used to doing hundreds, man. Gatlin continued to boast about how he could do hundreds of the girls, referencing the kilograms of coke. Gatlin also stated, I can move a lot of the heroin. He said H. I can move a lot of the H. He further explained that I'm gonna do a whole H a day if it's good. Gatlin stated words to the effect that he had buyers with money to buy 500 grams and 200 grams. Gatlin boasted about his previous drug dealings of coke and heroin. Gatlin stated, we were doing probably 250 a month, the girl. He could probably 50, 60 of the H. God damn, bro, he's talking too fucking much. Gatlin explained, this has been a beautiful trip. This has been what I was looking for, man. On February 7, 2013, so that's when he talked about the 2 kilograms, right? Now they line his ass up for 15. See how that worked?
Yeah.
You see they play?
Yeah.
On February 7, 2013, agents conducted a reverse operation in which Gatlin enlisted Tim Rush and Gibbs. Oh, got his people hot. On February 7, 2013, agents conducted a reverse operation in which they enlisted Tim Rush and Lorenzo Gibbs to meet a purported cartel source in the Memphis area to exchange Gatlin's Toyota Camry for a Cadillac Escalade equipped with a hidden compartment containing 2 kilograms of heroin. The heroin fronted for a price of $55,000 per key, which Gatlin to provide a vehicle as collateral. Timothy Rush noticed that the travel was to acquire a distribution quantity of heroin, aided and abetted the endeavor, and traveled with Gibbs to Memphis, Tennessee. Timothy Rush and Gibbs met with additional undercover officers and exchanged Gatlin's Camry for the Escalade containing the purported heroin. The whole deal was set up. Defendants Timothy Rush and Gibbs declined instructions on how to open the hidden compartment and stated words to the effect that they would get instructions on how to open the trapdoor when they returned to St. Louis. Gibbs traveled to St. Louis separately from Timothy Rush. During the evening hours of February 7, 2013, Trooper Sanders of the Missouri State Highway Patrol, based in part on information from EA, conducted a traffic stop of the Escalade and contacted the driver and sole occupant of the vehicle, Timothy Rush. Trooper Sanders stopped T. Rush on northbound Interstate 55, just south of Missouri. Trooper Sanders noticed that T. Rush appeared to be making a phone call, but was really placing his phone on speaker. Timothy Rush's actions placing the phone on speaker to notify co-conspirators, specifically Gatlin. So Rush got pulled over. DEA called the patrol. Trooper pulls him over. He makes a phone call, puts it on speaker. He's talking to Gatlin Rich.
Oh shit. The whole play is already known. They're using the telephone and they don't know that their telephone is already on wire. So they're just, I mean, this is just really just basically like a fly trap. You know what I'm saying? Like they just swarmed into a fly trap. This shit is crazy. And I want to see who Cuffy had to give up to get out of this.
His whole crew. Timothy Rush's actions placing the phone on speaker to notify co-conspirators, specifically Gatlin, is evidence of the experience level of the conspirators. Rush was really nervous, provided inconsistent stories, and eventually consented to a search of the vehicle. Dumbass. DEA agents later conducted a search in which they located an electronic compartment containing 2 bundles of suspected heroin. Obviously, because they knew exactly where it was at, they put them there.
Yeah.
Later that evening, Gatlin, so after they get hit, pay attention. After they get hit later that evening, contacted the UC and stated words fact that he hoped the compartment was tight.
Damn fool.
This nigga, bro.
What? Man, there ain't no secret compartment. It's a compartment they know about.
This nigga calls the UC back. All right. So Gatlin contacted the UC and stated words to the effect that he hoped the compartment was tight. Gatlin also stated that Timothy Rush was a solid long time guy. In other words, Gatlin reassured the undercover that Timothy Rush would not make statements or cooperate.
Wow.
Gatlin continued to court the UC as a source of supply. Gatlin arranged for a second delivery, this time for 15 kilograms of coke, even after they got hit the first time. Timothy Rush knew of the purported delivery and intended to meet the purported cocaine courier commercial truck driver. So Rush got out.
So Rush had to be working.
This is crazy, Rich.
We gotta find Rush's shit now.
Oh man, the plot thickens, brother.
Yeah.
So Timothy Rush knew of the purported delivery and intended to meet the. This is only 11 days later. After he got hit the first time. But remember, he agreed to the search, so I don't know. So Timothy Rush knew of the purported delivery and intended to meet the cocaine courier commercial truck driver to take possession of the 15 keys of coke on behalf of the Gatlin DTO.
Where is Timothy Rush at this point in time right now?
Shit, somebody from the Luke can tell me.
I don't know. We got these names. We'll keep tracking.
Yeah. We gotta locate all this shit, bro. This is a rabbit hole network.
You good, Wack?
Yeah, let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
Right, so Gibbs was present in the vicinity and was aiding and abetting the Gatlin DTO and Rush by acting as lookout for law enforcement or other threats. On February 13, 2013, Gatlin reassured the undercover by stating, "I tell you what, if you get this mother, you'll be happy. You know what I mean?" Gatlin continued, "If you get this mother, you can get it in here, man. Shit, you can get it in here, man. I can't make that up, brother. I can't make that up. First time you get in here, I can't make that up. You just send your guy down here, I'll put them up. And he could just sit and wait, man, you know." Gatlin was referencing his ability to move a lot of narcotics quickly. On February 14, 2013, Gatlin referencing heroin stated, "I need that other thing, brother. I need it bad." Gatlin also continued to emphasize, y'all got to get it one time, brother. The deal was for 15 kilograms of coke, but Gatlin also continued to express his desire to also receive heroin. Gatlin also stated, "I was trying to get back on the H page. The UC inquired regarding quantity. I'm asking how many you gonna need. Gatlin replied, shit, bro. All you can give me. On February 18th, Gatlin and the UC had additional communication which established this for a second delivery, this time for 15 keys of coke. Virus truck driver also purported to make a legitimate delivery of a commercial load. A DEA task force officer acting in an undercover capacity posed as a commercial truck driver purporting to deliver 15 keys of coke to Gatlin. On February 18th, Timothy Rush, utilizing last 46134, participated in several phone conversations with the task force officer at the DEA, while arranging to meet the TFO at the Hampton Inn in the vicinity of Butler Hill Road at Interstate 55. The TFO, upon arriving at the Hampton Inn, observed Gibbs operating a white Impala, conducted canvass of the area before Gibbs ultimately parked the Impala in the gas station where Gibbs could overlook the parking lot of the Hampton Inn. Timothy Rush arrived to meet the task force officer shortly thereafter. The task force officer maintained a phone contact with Rush as the TFO exited the truck with a large duffel bag. Timothy Rush was in the process of approaching the TFO to take possession of the large duffel bag as Rush was taken into custody. Investigators also contacted and detained Gibbs at the nearby gas station where Gibbs was posted as a lookout. Agents later intercepted Rush, Andre Rush, his brother, and Gatlin, making arrangements to meet Fitness Rush and Gibbs in the wake of the law enforcement contact. Andre Rush was also acting as a conduit of information from Timothy Rush and Gibbs to Gatlin, and then helped coordinating a meeting between the conspirators. On the night following the seizure and the arrest, Andre Rush, using telephone 9539, called Gatlin at 4875. Andre Rush told Gatlin, I just got through talking to the fat guy, Professor. Professor guy told me, him and the other pulling up in a minute, man, and said they'll talk to me. You dig? Gatlin responded, oh yeah? Andre Rush said, yeah, so I thought maybe you wanted to hear that, so in case you turn around or whatever, I want to be there too. I'm letting you know what the dealio is, right? The dealio is, right? Agents intercepted another call the same night between Rush and Gatlin, who each continued to utilize the above phone numbers. During the call, Rush and Gatlin, using coded language, discussed the arrest of Gibbs and Rush. Rush referenced them as kids and law enforcement as mama. Andre Rush said, damn man, say something. Hey, yeah, I got the kids over here with me. Now it's fucked up. Yeah, they mama just ain't no good. She's no good. And then man, did you hear what they mama did and done? Ooh wee. Her crazy ass taking pictures and shit. You know? She had to act like them kids and took them kids to see. Relevant conduct. Real quick. And we about to get into these homicides. Y'all ping up and share the room. The exact amount of controlled substances attributable to the defendant is not subject to precise calculation. However, the parties agree that the amounts of controlled substances involved in a conspiracy attributable to the defendant as a result of his own conduct and the conduct of others reason foreseeable to him is more than 3,000 kilograms or less than 10,000 kilograms of marijuana based upon a conversion of the quantities of cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana attributed to the defendant. So more than 3,000 keys, but less than 10,000 keys. Homicides of Theodis Howard versus Morgan. Theodis Howard. Gatlin organized the murder of Theodis Howard on April 15 as retaliation for Howard's previous cooperation in a federal narcotics investigation against the Ron Wani Gatlin. Gatlin recruited the participants and drove the shooters to and from the scene of the murder. Gatlin remained in his Volkswagen vehicle during the murder. Pay attention to it. We're about to name some names. Andre Rush, consistent with Gatlin's plan, identified Howard to Derek Bub Clemens and Raymond Rambo Jones, who then approached Howard, brandished firearms, and shot Howard to death outside of the Grace Hill Medical Center in St. Louis City. Defendant Andre Rush positioned himself in a manner to observe Howard as Howard approached the clinic. Upon observing Howard, Andre Rush knowingly identified Howard so that Derek Bub Clemens and Raymond Rambo could shoot Howard to death with firearms. Derek Bub Clemens shot Howard, causing him to fall to the ground. Jones then shot Howard while he was on the ground. After shooting Howard, Derek Bub Clemens, Jones, and Andre Rush ran to Gatlin's Volkswagen, where Gatlin was waiting for them. On April 2010, at approximately 3:57 p.m., officers of the St. Louis Metro Police Department responded to the murder scene located at 2524 Haley in the city of St. Louis. Howard sustained several gunshot wounds. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. Homicide detectives responded to the scene. Investigators seized evidence that included 6 .45 caliber shell casings and 6 9mm shell casings, consistent with the use of 2 firearms. The medical examiner determined that there were 3 gunshots to Howard's head, 6 gunshot wounds to the chest, and 1 gunshot wound to his hand. Prior to his murder, victim Howard made detailed and voluminous statements against many of his co-conspirators, including statements implicating Deron Gatlin. On February 1st, 2006, Howard was sentenced to a term of 72 months imprisonment after the judge granted the motion for downward departure based upon his cooperation.
Bunch of snitch.
In 2010, Howard was released from custody and was serving the remainder of his sentence at the St. Louis Community Center at Dismiss House when he was murdered. So he got 72 months because of his cooperation, got out in 4 years and 10, got murdered. Any questions on that first body? Gatlin was a driver.
No.
Terrence Morgan. Remember, this is all in. This is what he's pleading to, Rich.
This nigga's a cold nigga. I don't even know how he could have even brought himself to the internet with this shit.
Terrence Morgan. On May 2nd, 2013, Gatlin directed and encouraged Andre Rush. To shoot and kill Terrence Morgan. This was to prevent more member of the Gatlin DTO from cooperating with federal authorities in the pending investigation. Now you understand why they had him for the death penalty on 2 bodies.
Right.
Gatlin drove Morgan and Andre Rush to the location of the murder, instructed Andre Rush to kill, and drove Andre Rush from the scene of the murder. Defendant Gatlin admits that he also intended that the Morgan's murder furthered the drug trafficking conspiracy. I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to back up. On May 2nd, Gatlin directed and encouraged Andre Rush to shoot and kill Terrence Morgan. This was to prevent Morgan, a member of the Gatlin DTO, from cooperating with the feds in the pending investigation. Gatlin drove Morgan and Andre Rush to the location of the murder, instructed Andre Rush to kill Morgan, and drove Andre Rush from the scene of the murder. Defendant Gatlin admits that he also intended that Morgan's murder furthered the drug trafficking conspiracy. Shortly before the murder, Gatlin learned that he was under investigation by the DEA after his attorney met with the DEA. Pay attention. The DEA agents provided information relative to the investigation described herein to the attorney who represented Gatlin at the time. Based upon his lawyer's communications with the DEA, Gatlin he would be facing drug trafficking charges. Gatlin was concerned that Morgan might cooperate with law enforcement. The day of the murder, Morgan was dropped off at Andre Rush's residence. Morgan told Andre Rush that the DEA attacked him and they were asking about Cuff. Andre Rush and Morgan went to a nearby park where they met Gatlin and Tim Rush. Morgan told Gatlin about the DEA contacting him, and Gatlin and Morgan had a private conversation. Morgan was consuming beer. Gatlin told Andre Rush they were going for a ride and invited him to go with them. Prior to going for a ride, Gatlin asked defendant Andre Rush if Rush had his buddy on him. Defendant Rush then retrieved a firearm, a revolver, from a nearby location. I wonder who told him all of this, Rush.
Yeah, don't go on no ride with them niggas.
Shit. Some outpost shit. Gatlin drove with Morgan in the front seat and Andre Rush in the back seat. How you should have known you wasn't coming back, brother. Morgan eventually stated that he. Gatlin stopped in the vicinity of Gravos and Jefferson in St. Louis City. Morgan exited the vehicle and began to walk down an alley. Gatlin turned to Andre Rush and stated words to the effect of, "Go get him out the way." Now, if you're using common sense, if there's two people in the vehicle, how the fuck are they getting this story? It either came from Gatlin or it came from Rush. It's only one other way. And we know that this is Gatlin's plea deal. It ain't that hard.
Right.
Pay attention, right? Gatlin, Morgan in the front seat, and Andre Rush in the back seat. Morgan eventually stated that he had to pee. They stopped in the vicinity of Gravos and Jefferson City in St. Louis City. Morgan exited the vehicle and began to walk down an alley. Gatlin turned to Rush and stated words to the effect of, "Go get him out the way." Andre Rush exited the vehicle, entered the alley, walked behind Terrence Morgan, and shot him in the head. Terrence Morgan fell to the ground, and Andre Rush shot him a couple times in the head. Andre Rush returned to the front passenger seat of the vehicle. Gatlin drove off. Andre Rush later discarded the firearm. Gatlin agreed to pay Andre Rush but did not pay him.
Damn, Cuffy, if he ordering hits and now not paying the niggas that did the hit, so he must have felt like he was even more gangster than the niggas doing the hits. That nigga's a cold gangster.
On May 2nd, 2013, officers responded to a call for a shooting at 4:55 p.m. in an alley, where they discovered Terrence Morgan laying on the ground in the alley. Morgan was laying on his back with several gunshot wounds to the head. Morgan was pronounced dead at the scene. A medical examiner conducted an autopsy and determined that there were 2 gunshot wounds in the neck area, one to the chin on the right side and one to the chin on the left side. There was another gunshot wound to the neck behind and below the right. 3 copper jacket .38 caliber bullets were recovered during the autopsy. The cause of death was gunshot wounds and the manner of death was homicide. Andre Rush was later identified by a scene witness as the individual who exited the alley where Morgan was murdered following gunshot in the alley.
By a person or a surveillance camera?
That says a scene witness.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's a person. Give me 1 second. Let me get to this base offense level. So in pleading guilty, the defendant acknowledges, fully understands, and hereby waives his right, including but not limited to the right to plead not guilty to the charges, the right to be tried by a jury in a public and speedy trial, the right to file pre-trial motions, including motions to suppress or exclude evidence, the right at such a trial to have a presumption of innocence, the right to require the government to provide elements of the offense charged against the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt, the right not to testify. So he waived every last single right to sign this plea deal. So base offense level. The parties agree that the guideline sentence is found in section 2K2, and the sentence enhancement where death is caused through use of a firearm is found in section 2A1. Defendant fully understands that pursuant to his agreement with the government, count 5 requires that he serve a term of imprisonment of 204 months, 17 years, and that will run consecutive to any sentence imposed in counts 1, 2, or 3. He didn't have any special offense characteristics. Let me see adjustments. The parties agree that 3 levels should be deducted pursuant to section 3E1 because the defendant has clearly demonstrated acceptance of responsibility and timely notified the government of the defendant's intention to plead guilty. The parties agree that the defendant's eligibility for this deduction is based upon information presently known. Okay, Rich, real quick. I'm at the end document.
Okay.
Make it to the second one. You got any questions, any statements? Right. Let's go to the next one.
No, really, I don't have any statements at this point.
It's bad work, brother.
Yeah. My only statement is that I don't know how thought that he could come to the internet with knowing that he had this type of paperwork, at the same time trying to accuse somebody of put him in his position when he knows everything that he really had against him is ultimately diabolical and tyrannical.
This paperwork was sealed, brother.
It's psychotic, man. Just what some people are trying to make a play on, man. This is bananas.
Let me read you this plea hearing transcript so we can kind of get some more context to it. So this is his lawyer talking to the court about his plea deal, right?
Right.
Give me 1 second. Let me get to this part. It's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. I'm gonna bore you guys with that. Give me 1 second. So this is when they got that secret bench conference inside of the plea hearing, right? So you got the plea hearing going on, and then they get a sidebar, and then they talk for like 20 minutes, and then that's off the record, and then that part is sealed. That always look wonky, Rich. Like, why the hell are you sealing a conversation within the plea agreement?
Right.
So this is right after they have that sealed conference. Sorry, right before. So he goes, the court says, so I will add, defendant Gatlins does not agree that these charges are pending, and that could be determined at the time that's appropriate. Any further objections to the factual statements in the pre-sentence report on behalf of him? His lawyer says no. He says any object factual statements in the pre-sentence report on behalf of the United States Attorney? He says no. The court says the factual statements in the pre-sentence report as amended are adopted as the findings in its proceedings. On behalf of Mr. Gatlin, are there any objections to the probation application of the sentencing guidelines? He says no. And then here comes the prosecutor. Any on behalf of the United States Attorney? He says no. And that's when counsel would like to approach. A bench conference.
I bet they.
You're like, wait, hold on. A bench conference was held, secret meeting, right? On the record, and that was placed under seal, right? After which the following proceedings continued. So this is right after they had a little secret meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes, and finally, sir, there's a statute that lists a number of factors I'm required to consider before I can determine the appropriate sentence in your case. He's getting under the mandatory minimum, right? With that being said, save for allocution and discussions of these sentencing factors, does either attorney know of any reason why we should not proceed to the imposition of sentence? The prosecutor says no. His attorney says no. Or, Mr. Gatlin, sir, before sentence is imposed, you have the opportunity to say. You can speak directly, you can ask your attorney to speak for you, or you both may speak, however you see fit. If there's anything you'd like to say, now is the time. Gatlin says no. The court says thank you. Here comes his lawyer. If I may, Your Honor, we had previously filed a sentencing memorandum under seal. Now, Rich, that's the first red flag.
I'm with you. I'm right here.
You filed your sentencing memorandum under seal? Okay. The first is that, as was reflected in the plea agreement, the parties had recommended that Mr. Gatlin be sentenced to a term of detention of 324 months. Remember, the mandatory minimum was 360 to life.
Right.
The first is that, as was reflected in the plea agreement, the parties had recommended that Mr. Gatlin be sentenced to a term of detention of 324 months. And on behalf of Mr. Gatlin, we would ask the court to abide by that recommendation, fully understanding that the sentencing is totally within your purview, Your Honor. This case has been going on since March of 2014. Mr. Gatlin has been detained since March 2014. I became involved in this case in July of 2015. And during that time, relationship, he's courteous, right? We disagreed on some things, but that's cool. He has some medical stuff we're not going to talk about. Real quick, we're going to skip that. We would note that the pre-sentence report states that Mr. Gatlin has a negative net worth. Okay? So he can't pay any fine. We believe, Your Honor, again, I just reiterate that we would ask this court to strongly consider the plea agreement recommendation of 324 months. That is 27 years. He'd been in custody for over 5 years. Very, very lengthy sentence, Your Honor. This is his lawyer talking to the judge. He asked Mr. Gatlin, hey, do you agree with what your attorney just said? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Anything from the United States Attorney? Judge, I know you're intimately familiar with the facts of this case. I just want to make it clear on the record that the United States also joins in that recommendation as set forth in the plea agreement for a total aggregate sentence of 324 months with 10 years to be imposed on the controlled substances offenses. However, you want to break that down, and then a consecutive term of 17 years or 204 months for count 5, which is use of a firearm and furtherance of drug trafficking crime resulting in death. The court says, under the totality of the circumstances, I will get the plea agreement negotiated by the parties and find that the sentence satisfies the statutory purposes of sentencing. And sentence will be as follows. Dion Lamont is hereby committed to the custody of the Bureau of Prisons to be in prison for a term of 324 months. That term consists of 120 months on each count through 4. Those terms to run concurrently, and 204 months on count 5 to be served consecutively to counts 1 through 4.
Damn, this nigga 10 years for a body?
This is crazy. From the death penalty to that.
From death penalty to 10 years for each body to come along with it 17. God damn, that shit is mind blowing.
Now, this is where the court asks the United States Attorney, do you have anything else to say? Listen very closely to what the attorney. If I may, Your Honor, I would like to just brief record on the substantial benefits of this plea agreement. The substantial benefits of this plea agreement. The sentence imposed by the court in view of the history of the case and the previous charges, if the court would indulge me. The court says you may proceed. Thank you. Just for the record, Judge, I note that as originally charged, Mr. Gatlin was facing 10 years to life for each of the drug trafficking charges. And there was a criminal information previously filed which would have resulted in a mandatory minimum of 15 years. And then there were originally the charge of killing a witness or person in retaliation for cooperating. Result that was in retaliation to the murder of Theodis Howard. And there was also the charge of killing somebody to prevent communication with law enforcement in retaliation to the murder of Terrence Howard. I note for the record, each of those was punishable by life. Life meaning life.
Truth.
In addition to that, there were 924J charges in which the defendant was charged separately for using a firearm to accomplish drug trafficking murders or the murders and those crimes of violence. That would have, all these offenses would have resulted in Mr. Gatlin, had he gone to trial. I want to make it clear for the record. Had he gone to trial and been convicted of those charges, he would have been asked the court to impose a maximum possible sentence for the victim charges, and we would have asked for consecutive life terms for in all murder charges.
Cuffy, what were you thinking of, brother?
I note that counsel has litigated this case vigorously throughout the pre-trial motions proceeding, which were aggressive and fully developed by all defense counsel in this case. In addition to that strengthness as the case developed, this case developed strong evidence with evidence from undercover law enforcement investigators, some of whom had direct contact with Gatlin, recordings, electronic recordings, Title III recordings, and there was significant cooperating evidence that would have came from co-conspirators. So he was looking at substantially, he was looking at life sentences if he were convicted as charged at trial. The evidence was strong, and overall, I'll just say for the record that there is benefits for this plea agreement for Mr. Gatlin. And that ended the court.
So not one time did I hear anything mentioned about Demetrius Flannery or him being in this situation because of Meech. I just think it's crazy. It's bananas. It's insane.
Del Suarez is his plug. It's the only connection.
Yeah, but everything that happened in the subsequent had nothing to do with even, the connection was the connection, but everything you did after that was basically on you. You did that.
And then you told on everybody in your plea deal. It ain't that hard.
Yeah, then he told on everybody. Then, shit, it's a whole bunch of other niggas out there that was telling, and that was a crazy crew right there. Cuffy got a cold story.
I don't know how that man came to the internet with that ground.
Yeah, this is political. I mean, I don't know. He must have thought he was going to be able to get one over on you, Wack.
I don't know how.
And shout out to Wack 100, man, for assembling a team of individuals that can go out and ascertain the information to really put, paint a clairvoyant picture to this and just really brought light to the whole thing. At the same time, you just might have thought that, you impugning somebody's character or you running somebody down, but at the same time, when you get to the whole truth, you can see that that individual actually is kind of vindicated in this situation.
And let me try to explain it to you this is another document. I'm going to read the waiver of indictment hearing where he waives the right to be indicted by a grand jury. Within that paperwork is basically where those sealed files will make sense because they reference the fact that these files are sealed for a reason, right? So this is the United States Attorney talking. And Mr. Riley, would you now explain to Mr. Gatlin the charges pending against him by filing of an information? Remember, information versus the indictment, right? Grand jury versus information. That's what he waived the right to take the plea deal. Yes, Your Honor. And just to supplement the record and explain the charges in the information, the third, and what we'll refer to as the third superseding criminal investigation in this case, operates to Mr. Gatlin's benefit. Remember, the deal was take this plea deal and you won't be superseded third by a grand jury, right? This is what allows him to plead guilty in a way in which he's not facing a mandatory life sentence. Were he to plead guilty, as this was previously charged, or be convicted at trial. I'm gonna back up a little bit, Rich.
Okay.
So basically they're explaining that the way that made the agreement that it's only to his benefit, right? So it says, yes, Your Honor, and just to supplement the record and explain the charges in the information, the third, what we're referred to as the third superseding criminal investigation in this case, operates to Mr. Gatlin's benefit. How the fuck does it operate to your benefit? This is what allows him to plead guilty in a way he's not facing a mandatory life sentence were he to plead guilty as this was previously charged or be convicted at trial. It's what allows for the disposition in this case and the parties to make the recommendation they're going to make to the court. And the plea agreement has been agreed to by the parties. So they're explaining to the judge what they're going to do. Remember, they recommended 324 years.
Yeah, they're trying to express a legal way and how they're pulling off this
Exactly.
Harry Houdini trick, because this is really, they're giving up a lot.
And that's why I said from the beginning, to realize first indictment, second indictment, okay, third indictment, we either going to actually indict you by a grand jury and you're going to face these bodies and hit the death penalty, or you're going to sign this piece of paper and we're just not going to recommend the death penalty. That's fucking simple. So specifically under the first superseding indictment, the defendant was charged in count 6 with the violation of 15 and 18, and section 2 in relation to the murder of Theodis Howard. The defendant was also charged in count 9 of the first superseding indictment in relation to the murder of Terrence Morgan to prevent him from communicating with federal investigators or federal law enforcement authorities. Both of those were punishable by mandatory life. So the first superseding indictment, what's the punishment? Mandatory life for those bodies, right?
Yeah, he's directing murders.
Directing murders, and he's on
higher level of leadership.
And he's on the drill. He's on the G route on one of them. He's the driver.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So the effect of this criminal information, third indictment, but they're not doing it by a grand jury, it's by information, right? That's the deal. The effect of this criminal information is to, among other things, is to allow the defendant to plead guilty to a single violation of 18 United States Code Section 924J, in which both the murders of Theodis Howard and Terrence Morgan are referenced in that single violation of 18 United States Code Section 924J, which carries with it a mandatory penalty of 10 years, minimum of 10 years, not more than life. Do you see the play right there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it one more time. He's charged individually in 2 separate counts in the first superseding indictment with the bodies, right? And now listen to how they get from under that, how they work it in his benefit though, right? So by the third superseding indictment, we're gonna hook it up. We're gonna combine one charge. And now you're facing mandatory life individually. Now it's just 10 years. You see how they work?
Yeah, they rolled it all into one.
And put it under a different statute to where it's not mandatory life no more.
I wonder, did they even charge him with the homicides, or did they just charge him with assault with a firearm or something like that?
That's where the firearm for furtherance of a drug trafficking conspiracy, that's the statute. That's how they get from under that.
Yeah, they changed the language.
They'll just charge you with a different statute that doesn't have a mandatory minimum of life. So therefore, they can basically give you that fucking deal, and it, quote unquote, is not below the mandatory maximum. That's how they did that. So now they give you 10 years, that's the max. It look on paper like they gave you the max, right? But you technically should be facing life. They hooked you to fuck up. Right? But let's read.
They hooked each other up.
Right? That's a good point. The defendant was also charged in count 9 of the first superseding indictment. The effect of this criminal information is to, among other things, is to allow the defendant to plead to a single violation in which both the murders of Howard and Morgan referenced in that single violation, which carries with it a mandatory penalty of 10 years, a minimum years, not more than life, not mandatory life, right? Consecutive to all other counts in the indictment. So the effect of this superseding information, which I'll now go through, is substantially to Mr. Gatlin's benefit. So the effect of this superseding information, which I'll now go through, is substantially Mr. Gatlin's benefit, brother. How many times I gonna say it?
Right.
You're telling the court this is come on, bro. Like, Your Honor, you have to sign this, bro. This only benefits him. Like, look, he's
Right.
come on, bro. So count one charges that the defendant did combine, conspire, and confederate with other persons known and unknown. They're listed in the indictment, right, within the Eastern District of Missouri between 2009 and 15 to commit an offense against the United States. That's to distribute and possess with the intent to distribute cocaine. Count two. It also alleges a quantity allegation that was 5 keys or more, blah, blah, blah. So count two, information, alleges a heroin distribution conspiracy for the same frame. Count three relates to attempt to possess with to distribute 5 keys or more of coke. Count four, same thing, 5 keys of coke. So it says now the new count, which there were previously 2 separate violations of Section 18, United States Code 924J, charged in relation to the murders of Theodis Howard and Terrence Morgan, in addition to counts 6 and 9, which I previously referenced. So we've taken the 2 separate violations and alleged them in a single count again to Mr. Gatlin's benefit. And this count alleges that between April 5th of 2010 and May 2nd of 2013, the defendant, Donnell Gatlin, aiding and abetting and acting with others known and unknown to the United States, including Andre Rush, also known as Dirty and Dre, did not only possess 1 or more firearms in furtherance of the commission of the drug trafficking crime, which can be prosecuted in the United States or in a court of the United States. There's also an allegation that in the course of this violation, the defendant acting with others caused the death of a person through the use of a firearm, which is killing as murder. And that the defendant aiding and abetting and acting with others, including Andre Alfonso Rush, also known as Dirty and Dre, with malice and aforethought, unlawfully killed Howard on or about April 5th, 2010, and Terrence Morgan on or about May 2nd, 2013. This is his waiver of indictment hearing, by the way. And that the defendant, aiding and abetting and acting with others, including Andre Rush, caused the death of each victim with 1 or more firearms, willfully, deliberately, maliciously, and with premeditation, thereby making this offense punishable under the Title 18 United States Code Sections 2 and 924J. So they ask him, Mr. Gatlin, do you understand the charges pending against you? Yes, sir. Do you understand that this is a criminal case? You have the right to be represented by attorney, blah, blah, blah. Yes, sir. Have you had enough time to discuss your case with your attorney? Yep. Are you satisfied? Yep. Now, the next series of questions I'm going to ask you are about the rights you're giving up by pleading guilty. Do you understand if you plead not guilty, you're entitled to a speedy trial by a jury? Yep. You understand at trial you're presumed innocent? Yep. You understand that they have to bring witnesses against you? Witnesses will have to testify against you? You can call witnesses? Yep. Okay. Little formalities here. So he says, has anyone threatened you, forced you, or in any way coerced you into pleading guilty? No, sir. There is a plea agreement. If we turn to the last page, the page marked 31, there are 3 on this page. The middle signature purports to be your signature. Is that your signature? Yes. Did you read this document before you signed it? Yes, sir. So let's go back. Rich, that 31 I just read.
Right.
The court just asked him, did you read it? Yes. Did you sign it? Yes. Is that your signature? Yes. Did you go over with your attorney? Yes, I did. Did she answer all your questions? Yes. Do you believe you understand what's in the document? Yes. Is everything in here true? What you think he said?
Yes.
Everything that we just read in that 31-page document, he said yes. Okay. Sentencing won't take place for several months. It may be made before you're sentenced. You told your lawyer about the guidelines and how they work? Yes, sir. If there are any objections, we'll have a hearing. I'll rule on the objections and we'll make a final calculation as to what the recommended sentence is. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. We will also determine if there are any departure motions. Those are motions under the guidelines that would encourage a sentence that is more than or less than the recommended sentence. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. Counsel, would you approach sidebar? Yeah. Now, Rich, we will determine if there are any, listen to the sequence, right?
I'm here with you.
We will determine also if there are any departure motions. Those are motions under the guidelines that would encourage a sentence more than or less than recommended sentence. Do you understand that? Gatlin says yes. The judge asks the counsel, would you post for a sidebar? A bench conference was held on the record and placed under seal. So right after that question, like, we got to talk about it. Or whatever they talked about, that's under seal.
Wow.
So, now, the court says, finally, sir, there is a statute that lists a number of factors I'm required to consider before I can determine the appropriate sentence in your case. You understand that? Yes, sir. Let's go over your plea agreement. The plea agreement says you agreed to plead guilty to the 5 counts of the superseding information. You understand that? Yes, sir. And you understand what's in the plea agreement. These are recommendations to me. I'm required to follow what's in the plea agreement. Yes, sir. I mean, we understand, and I understand there's a joint relation that I impose a sentence of 7 years, but I'm not required to follow that agreement. Do you understand that? Yes, sir. Right? A grandstanding. But if I sentence you consistent with that agreement, you've agreed not to appeal the sentence that's imposed other than a disagreement. You make criminal history. Yes, sir.
Why the hell would he appeal this?
So that's in this plea. I didn't read it, but there's a plea agreement. He can't appeal fucking nothing. He tried. He tried it though.
He did?
He did. Yep. I got his appeal too. He tried it. Said he was sentenced too harshly.
For everything that he did?
I'm gonna read it to you. Hold on. Give me 1 second. He says, now beginning on page 22, there was a discussion about how it's proposed the guidelines work in your case. For the purpose of the guidelines, counts 1 and 4 are grouped, and the recommended base level is 32. You understand that? Yes, sir. And when we convert the heroin and cocaine so that we can compare them and add them together, we convert them to marijuana. Oh, that's why I said marijuana for the 3,000 to 10,000, just so I could put it in pounds. So, and we convert the heroin and cocaine so that we can compare them and add them together. We convert them to marijuana. And that conversion.
Why would they convert them to marijuana? I don't get that part.
Yeah, I mean, neither. I guess for.
Are they reducing the cocaine and heroin to marijuana? And sentencing him under marijuana guidelines? How is that happening?
I'm gonna have to look that up. That's the second time that they referenced that.
Yeah.
And when we convert the heroin and cocaine so that we can compare them and add them together, we convert them to marijuana. And that conversion results in 1,000 to 10,000 kilograms of marijuana. And that's how we did 32. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I'm trying to. Well, let's. Okay. We can move forward though.
I got you. Let's see. It says, yes, sir. It's recommended that 3 levels be added because you were an organizer or leader of 5 or more persons in a criminal activity. You understand that? Yes, sir. Up to 3 is subtracted for your acceptance and responsibility in a timely fashion. Do you understand that? And that's interesting, bro. He was in jail for what, 5 years on this case, and they gave him a 3-point reduction for accepting his plea deal in a timely fashion. Okay. As a result, it's recommended that for those counts, the final total offense level was 32. As to count 5, which is the bodies, the base level was 43. You understand that? Yes, sir. Again, we have a reduction of 3 levels for an estimated final total offense of 4. You understand that? Yes, sir. and you fully understand your agreement with the United States Attorney to recommend that I impose a sentence of 17 years on count 5, that's the bodies, to run consecutive to any sentence imposed on the first 4 counts. Do you understand that? So ultimately, Rich, he only got 10 years for the drugs, 17 years for the 2 murders, to run consecutively 27 years total.
Okay.
But you got to go with the grouping of the first 4 charges to get the offense level of 32 to figure out how they determine that with the marijuana and all of that, quantities and all of that stuff. And then you got the 17 years consecutively for the 2 bodies.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so and I also looked up federal sentencing guidelines convert different drugs into a common unit called convert drug weight, formerly called marijuana equivalent. So this is not saying that the defendant possessed marijuana. It's simply a way to combine different drugs into one number for sentencing. So
yeah, it's confusing as hell.
Yeah.
Grams and the ounces and everything, they just go by the pound.
Right,
it's
right.
Easy for them to say kilogram. Look, I got you. All right. Appreciate it. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. So they go into like what they have to prove. They're basically saying, hey, do you understand that for count 1, they have to prove that you had a drug network, that you had a source of supply, that you did X, Y, and Z, that you have more than 5 people? Yes. For count 2, did you do rubber black? Same thing. Yes. So they go down the whole list, right? So real quick. So same thing for count 5, which is the bodies, right? So they would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the days that they said that you committed that crime, that you was part of it, you were acting together, blah, 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 blah. He says yes. So this is where the court is going to explain and make you say yes to your exact crime in your plea agreement. So when the court asks him this question, he says, as to count 5, the United States Attorney would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that on or about April 5th, 2010, you committed the crime of conspiracy to distribute heroin and coke, as charged in counts 1 and 2, aiding and abetting others, acting together, knowingly possess a firearm in furtherance of those crimes, you aiding and abetting others and acting together, knowingly discharge a firearm in furtherance of those crimes, and aiding and abetting others and acting knowingly, use the firearm to cause the death of Howard. Do you understand that? Yes. They asked him the same question for Terrence Morgan. He says yes. Now, the court asked the U.S. Attorney to tell us what facts they believe it would have been able to prove had there been a trial. And by prove, I mean prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And the court tells Cuffy, listen very carefully. Pay attention, Rich. The court asks Cuffy, listen very carefully, because after he's done talking, I'm asking you if you did what he said you did. Once again.
They're going to ask him to admit this in open court?
In open court.
Okay.
In open court. So now I'm the prosecutor. Judge, if I may, before I, consistent with our agreement, I would ask to withdraw the previously filed criminal information seeking enhanced punishment. So I'm going to withdraw the enhancement under Title 21 that imposed a 15-year mandatory minimum as to what counts 1 through 4 in this case, consistent with our other agreement. Remember, he years because they withdrew the sentencing enhancement that would have given him Fando, Rich.
Right.
Show me love, show me love, show me love.
Man.
I would ask for leave to withdraw a document. I filed a written memorandum with the plea paperwork and that's document 675. The court says, I have that motion and it will be granted. Boom. Sentencing guidelines went away just like that. Sentencing enhancement went away just like that. The prosecutor says, thank you. With regard to the evidence in this case, Your Honor, this is just a sample of evidence that the government would present if we were to proceed to trial.
This is a drop in the bucket.
Beginning at a time prior to or during 2009 and up to including July 16, 2015, which is the date of the first superseding indictment in the Eastern District of Missouri and elsewhere, multiple defendants at various levels within the supply chain conspired to possess with the intent to distribute and to distribute controlled substances containing heroin, coke, meth, marijuana, and other controlled substances within the Eastern District of Missouri. Defendant Gatlin knowingly joined the purpose of, strike that from the record. The defendant Gatlin, knowing the purpose of the agreement and conspiracy, knowingly joined it while it was in effect. Now remember, he's the leader of the organization, Rich, but he knowingly joined a conspiracy that was already in effect. We're going to have a conversation about that later.
Yeah, the movie was already happening, and he just got a role in the movie.
Mr. Gatlin was the leader and organizer of the Gatlin DTO, drug trafficking organization, which consisted of 5 or more people. The amount of the mixture of substance containing a detectable amount of coke attributed to and reasonably foreseeable to defendant Gatlin is more than 5 keys. The amount of mixture or substance containing a detectable amount of heroin attributed to and reasonably foreseeable to defendant Gatlin is more than 1 key. The defendant conspired with individuals including Fidel Suarez, Lorenzo Gibbs, Terrence Morgan, Andre Rush, Timothy Rush. The goal of the DTO was to obtain bulk distribution quantities of controlled substances including coke, heroin, meth, and marijuana by purchasing the substances in large quantities to receive bulk discounts. In turn, the Gatlin DTO would then distribute the illegal controlled substances primarily within the Eastern District of Missouri at higher prices in order to make a cash profit on the sale of coke, heroin, meth, and marijuana. The plea agreement itself outlines some of the different roles that Gibbs, Aaron Black Morgan, Andre Rush, and Timothy Rush, the roles that they played in the agreement. That included the storage and distribution of narcotics by all those defendants, but Gatlin also in relation to Morgan. Morgan managed a separate distributor named Nephew, and I'll touch on that as we go through. But there's a sub-distributor, basically, that was managed by Morgan. With regard to the specific events of the conspiracy, the evidence would show that Mr. Gatlin actively sought and negotiated with source of supply of illegal narcotics outside the St. Louis area. During the course of the judicially authorized monitoring calls and other communications from telephones used by Mr. Gatlin, investigators learned that Gatlin was obtaining meth, heroin, coke, and marijuana from Fidel Suarez. On October 12, there is a series of text messages that were intercepted between devices utilized by Mr. Suarez and Mr. Gatlin. In the electronic text messages were coded portions that outlined the negotiation for shipments of multiple pound quantities of meth from Suarez in St. Louis, and discussion about the shipment of other types of drugs. Among those, there's discussions as set out in a plea agreement at pages 9 and 10. Let me know from Suarez to Gatlin. Let me know if you want to mess with them shutters. We already went over that. Among other things, the intercepts support the conclusion that Gatlin and Suarez were discussing pound quantities of meth and that Gatlin agreed to pay $16,000 apiece. This is an average price, or was an average price per pound of meth in Midwest in the relevant time frame. There's also allegations to the timing of shipment and payment. There's further intercepts where the parties discuss Chinese food. In 2012, the defendant Gatlin and Gatlin DTO received more than 5 keys of a mixture of substance containing a cocaine from Suarez, more than a pound of a mixture of substance containing a tell amount of meth from Suarez. There are several intercepted telling the plea agreement where Gatlin communicates with Morgan. He references other co-conspirators, including Gibbs, who is referenced as tall. Gatlin explains to Morgan that Gatlin would tell Gibbs that Morgan was looking for him. In October 2012, Gatlin was intercepted in numerous coded drug-related conversations with Morgan, in which Morgan related various events of the conspiracy to Gatlin, including the status of payment from other distributors in the Gatlin DTO, such as Nephew. There is surveillance conducted throughout the investigation in addition to the Title III wiretaps. The surveillance included placing Gatlin's evidence of Andre Rush in the 3600 block of Philip Lewis City, with other co-conspirators including Morgan, Rush, and Rush. It's 2 Rushes, right? Timothy Rush and Andre Rush. There were 2 reverse operations conducted by the DEA in this case. On February 7th, Gatlin attempted to acquire 2 keys of heroin from a cartel supply in Memphis. On February 8th, 2013, Gatlin attempted to acquire 15 keys of coke from the same purported source of supply. The defendants at the time were unaware that Gatlin had arranged for the deliveries with the undercover law enforcement officer. Gatlin believed he was negotiating the deliveries with the cartel affiliates of supply. As detailed in the plea agreement on page 13, Gatlin met with the undercover investigator on February 4th of 2013 in Atlanta, Georgia, to arrange for the delivery of 2 kilograms of heroin for the Gatlin mill. On February 7th, agents conducted a reverse operation in which the Tim Rush dude gets caught up with the 15 keys, in which Gatlin enlisted Tim Rush and Lorenzo Gibbs to meet a purported cartel source in the Memphis area to exchange Gatlin's Toyota Camry for a Cadillac Escalade, equipped with a hidden compartment containing 2 purported kilograms of coke. Timothy Rush and Gibbs made the trip to Memphis on November 7th. They met with the undercover. Both Rush and Gibbs declined instructions on how to open the compartment and stated they would get the instructions on how to open the trap when they returned to St. Louis. They get pulled over by the Missouri Highway Patrol and by the DEA. They contact Cuffy on speakerphone. Later that evening, Cuffy called UC and stated words to the effect that he hoped that the compartment was tight. Vouched for the driver of the vehicle. As set forth in the plea agreement, at page 16 and 17, agents conducted a surveillance at a Starbucks in the vicinity of Grand Avenue on Highway 40, at which time they observed Gatlin arrive in an SUV-type vehicle. Gibbs arrived in the same white Impala that he had during the reverse operation. Gibbs and Gatlin exited the vehicles and walked back to the back of the brief meeting. They quickly returned to their vehicles and Gatlin drove off. The parties have an agreement, so between Gatlin and the government, the parties have an agreement as to the relevant conduct in this case, that the conspiracy, the amount of controlled substance in the conspiracy attributed to the defendant as a result of his conduct, and the conduct of others is not more than 3,000 keys, but less than 10,000 keys of marijuana based upon a conversion of the quantities of coke, heroin, and marijuana attributed to the defendant. I'm going to transition and talk about the murders. Gatlin organized the murder of Theodis Howard. This is detailed at page 18 of the plea agreement. Now, Rich, this is the paperwork that wasn't sealed.
Okay.
Right? That's detailing everything in the plea agreement. Now you see why we need the plea agreement. The defendant, Andre Rush, positioned him in the manner. The murder occurred on April 5th, 2010. We kind of went over this already, so let me get a bit to it. So, this murder was retaliation for previous cooperation in a federal government organization against Gatlin's brother, Deron. So in 2010, when he got out, he had a 5K1, downward departure, told on the brother. He got out in 4 years. When he got out, this was a murder. Derek Bub Clemens shot Howard, causing him to fall to the ground. Jones then shot Howard while he was on the ground. After shooting Howard, Derek and Jones and Andre Rush ran to Gatlin's Volkswagen, where Gatlin was waiting for them. So on this hit, Gatlin is the driver as well. On the other hit, he's a driver as well. So he's involved in both murders.
Right.
Right? Ordering a hit on both of them, right?
And driving to make it to ensure that it gets done. So not only is he ordering the drills, he's participating in them.
And remember, one already was a federal witness, and one was killed to not be a federal witness.
Right.
So that's what they're saying, that he killed 2 federal witnesses. That's where that rumor came from.
Mm-hmm.
But now you know the truth, right?
Yeah, we know that.
Let me see. Give me 1 second to find my place here.
My thing is, what is Cuddy and his people gonna say now that this information is out there?
I don't know. They keep doing it, Rich, and the paperwork keep proving that they told. So I don't understand. If you know this is out there, why say anything about Big Meech?
Yeah, why did you even
jump out that window? Because just with the unsealed shit, with the sealed paperwork now, bro, ain't no way. This whole plea agreement, that boy, shit, 31 pages, bro. Ain't no way a plea agreement should be 31 pages.
Yeah, like how the fuck? This is crazy. This is insane.
But Wack, that's all the documents right there, though. Man, y'all ping up and share the room. What y'all think? Come off that mic. This shit crazy, bro.
Shit crazy. Damn.
You know, Shorty gonna say 2 words every time. What up, Shorty? So, Rich, that time where Suarez is actually being the source of supply for Cuffy, right?
Where is Suarez?
You already know.
He ain't living no more? Or is he in custody somewhere? Where Wack? Wack can't buy his phone. I'm trying to see, is there a planned conversation with Cuffy?
At what time?
I mean, is there any type of planned conversation with Cuffy? I mean, maybe he could reveal something about this, or what was the reasoning about this, or did he believe that this was never going to be uncovered?
Yeah, we gonna have to talk to him. Where Wack at?
Right there, but he
Oh, he probably busy, man.
Boy.
But there he go.
So, Wack, is there a planned conversation with Cuffy?
Shit. I got the paperwork emailed to me, and Prince went over it, and we just went over it. So, shit. I mean, what's the fucking... Did you miss something, or...
No, I'm just saying, like...
Or what's the...
Is he gonna be able to, like, what the fuck, bro? Like, this is crazy. Like, how did he think he was gonna get by with this?
But Rich, you gotta understand too. You see how you need like 4 different pieces of paperwork to even prove what really happened with the sentencing and that's crazy to even try to figure all that out. See what I'm saying?
Right. No, shout out to you, Prince. You did a hell of a job, bro. You broke some shit down.
Rich, you saying you heard something that didn't sound what you?
Man, that shit sound terrible, bro. That's crazy. That I mean, just for a man that what I'm trying to see is there must have been a level of hate towards Big Meech from Cuffy, or what type of anger could this have had to know he did all this bogus ass shit to try to run somebody else down?
Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I don't think I've ever heard no more diabolical shit in my entire life.
So it says in there who he told on.
Oh, and then nigga went crazy.
So
He would set people up to get killed, buying dope from the police, telling the police how much dope he was gonna sell, telling the police how much he was gonna move, buying more from the police.
But he didn't know that was the police, though, right?
No, he didn't know it was the police, but the police knew they was the police.
But after, but see,
What
after
about
you,
the Suarez dude?
The Suarez.
Yeah, what about him? Was he in the paperwork somewhere?
Oh yeah, he's all in there. He's all in there. But I mean, we don't got no statements from him, or there's no determined location where Suarez is. Is Suarez even a real drug dealer, or is Suarez a police officer?
It don't spell that out. He was never arrested.
There's really, Prince, did you see any clear indication of what Suarez actually was?
give me 1 second, I got it.
Because I'm wondering, was he actually an operative, law enforcement, or was he actually truly a cartel? And where is he now? Because he's a critical part of this entire investigation. He's the thing that ties it all together between Big Meech, Cuffy, and this entire fiasco that followed in the subsequent of that meeting. Damn, what was he strategically placed in that county jail to lure Big Meech in?
Well, that's a good question. I ain't think about that one, Rich.
You feel what I'm saying? We got to think all the way down the line. And look how the government was playing it. They was letting niggas sell dope. Think of all of the smaller people that didn't get wrapped up in this web, or possibly they did. But this was in Tennessee. This was in Missouri. They was getting money all over, and a lot of times these dudes that was getting the work from the police. So was the police turning all the money in? Because there was a lot of money being made. Where is Suarez? Where's some of the other dudes at?
Yeah, them niggas had that shit on fire down here, dog. I ain't gonna lie.
You know what I'm talking about? Shit, you might touch the food.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was arrested a couple
Talking about
times, but I'm gonna have to look into him to kind of answer that question.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Who actually is Fidel Suarez? Is he actually a real person? Is that actually his real name? Or is that a covert name that because
An alias or something.
He
yeah,
owned
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he owned a trucking company out of California moving that dope. But how does
But
he?
we do see that the police was also operating in the trucking business as well.
How does he even end up with Big Meech in that Was it 2009? And was because that's the story, right? In the Frank's hearing paperwork that let me read it again. Since we over here.
Because I'm thinking there was a part in there where we were referencing commercial truck driving, and the police operating in that capacity. Why? It would be believable for me to believe that possibly Fidel Suarez was a part of that as well.
All right, let me read this to you real quick.
Because if they'll work with somebody on one side, why wouldn't they work with somebody on another side?
Okay, let me see. So it says, second, the affidavit, this is the affidavit that they submitted. It says the affidavit asserted facts related both to CS1's reliability as an informant and measures DEA St. Louis investigators took to corroborate information provided by CS1. As to CS1's reliability, the affidavit attested that CS1 was cooperating with the DEA for monetary gain. Had been shown to provide reliable information to this Tammy. Have been shown to provide reliable information to DEA regarding a multitude of felonious activity. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, you know that's Terry that she told on first. Okay. As for corroboration by DEA St. Louis, the affidavit asserted that DEA St. Louis investigators corroborated information from CS1 by using toll analysis of devices used by CS1, Gatlin, and Suarez on August 5th, 2012. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then it says, and information from DEA agents who monitored some but not all of the calls between Gatlin, Suarez, and CS1. Third, the affidavit asserted facts related to a suspected drug distribution conspiracy between Demetrius Flannery, Gatlin, and Fidel Suarez. So this is the affidavit that they submitted to line up Cuffy. That Tammy gave information on. They said that the affidavit asserted facts that a suspected drug distribution conspiracy between Flannery, Gatlin, and Suarez. More specifically, the affidavit asserted that Demetrius Flannery, naturally at BMF, and had been sentenced to 30 years for drug activities. The affidavit further asserted that based on information previously known to DA St. Louis, Gatlin was a member of St. Louis BMF. Oh, he was? He was a member of St. Louis BMF? Where'd that come from?
I think I've heard that before.
So the issue is who plugged Fidel Suarez with Gatlin? That's the issue?
No, I'm trying to find out what actually happened to Suarez. Who was he? Or was he just ultimately a plant? Or, I mean, because did he just vanish in the thin air? Where did he go? How much time did he receive? Because there was a lot of drugs being sold by Suarez. What part did he play? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
He's
you.
a key point.
So let's see what this tells us. The affidavit asserted that based on information from CS1 and an independent investigation by DA St. Louis agents, Suarez owned and operated a trucking company in California and had been investigated and or without conviction for suspected drug trafficking in 05 and on. Ooh. In addition, an independent investigation by DA St. Louis agents revealed 2 large quantity drug seizures from a truck operated by Suarez's trucking company. Finally, the affidavit attested that based on information CS1 provided to DEA Atlanta agents, so remember, this is Tammy talking to the DEA Atlanta agents, Flannery and Suarez became associated while both were incarcerated, and for monetary gain, Flannery arranged through CS1 for Suarez to provide coke in multiple quantities to Gatlin. I mean, how else can you... I'll read it one more time for you, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
It says, finally, the affidavit attested that based on information CS1 provided to DEA Atlanta agents, Flannery and Suarez became associated while both were incarcerated, and for monetary gain, Flannery arranged through CS1 for Suarez to provide cocaine in multiple kilogram quantities to Gatlin.
Mm. So
Fourth,
see how
CS1 had to provide it.
that's Tammy.
that's Tammy. But do they have any recorded documentation where they had a transmission that Big Meech was recorded on saying he requested Suarez to transfer cocaine to Deion Gatlin?
See, I never seen that.
Because I looked up third party snitching, right? And third party snitching can be to the benefit of said third party without that third party's knowledge. So once
100%.
again, if there's no documentation that says that Big Meech actually had somebody tell Fidel Suarez to take cocaine to Cuffy, then all we have is someone alleging that Big Meech said that. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think. See, that's where I don't think it's a said conversation. I think it's a sent conversation.
Because if there's a transmission that was recorded, or if there was a Title III wiretap that had Big Meech saying, "Look,
Right.
Tammy, go over there and tell Fidel to take some dope to Cuffy." I mean, if there's not that, then this is still a gray area for Big Meech, because there's no has actually Big Meech saying that he told somebody to go tell somebody to bring them some cocaine. We got people saying that Big Meech told them to tell them to go say that.
It says, listen to this part. It said, fourth, the affidavit asserted facts relating to contacts between Tammy, Gatlin, and Suarez in the year leading up to the events on August 5th, 2012. Hopefully the same questions, right? Specifically, the affidavit asserted that total devices used by Suarez and Gatlin indicated they had been talking regularly since March of 2012, and that Gatlin began using the target telephone in February of 2012. The affidavit also asserted that Tammy had contact with Suarez and Gatlin and was aware that Suarez had been in contact with Gatlin and traveled to St. Louis prior to August 2012. But Tammy was not involved in any drug transactions directly with Suarez and or Gatlin, and CS1 did not participate in any early conversations between Suarez and Gatlin. Thus, Tammy could not relay the content of those earlier discussions. That make any sense to you, Rich?
It makes sense to me. I still don't. As far as with I know that Big Meech hooked up Tammy with Fidel Suarez, right? But that doesn't mean that Tammy doesn't have her own independent mind to hook Suarez up with Cuffy based off of just referencing that she's got the word from Big Meech. That's not, if there's no actual documentation that she got the word from Big Meech, she could be operating roguely on her own behalf, trying to make some money because she done that before and trying to hook some shit up. That's still a wiggle room for Big Meech to say, if y'all don't have me saying or a transmission on there that says I told Tammy can say that I told her.
Yeah, he's always gonna have that out because
you feel what I'm saying?
The only person that can say that is Tammy.
Only person can say that is Tammy. So Tammy is the only person that can say that, yeah, Big Meech told me that, but it's on paper. If it ain't recorded by a wiretap from people that have invested this much time in this level of intricacies, if they didn't get him on that, they didn't get him on no jail call saying that, they don't have intercepted him in the visiting room saying it, where is his statement? He really said it.
Yeah, like I said before, that's the only pushback I have is that I wouldn't say statement, I would say introduction, and there's no other reason Tammy's a square bitch from Delaware why she even beating a nigga like Fidel Suarez.
She ain't no square no more. She been around the Miami boys. She been around Blue Da Vinci. She been around BMF for years and years and years. A bitch is a sponge. She done picked up a lot of game over the years, and she been around a lot of major dope dealers and money. She could have been trying to hit a move on her own. Big Meech gonna always have that out, in my estimation.
You gotta give her the number though. That's
In the
the tough
word,
part.
in the word of felony, I can give it to you, but what you gonna do with it?
That's true. Two things though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this how she got found out. Cuffy filed the motion, right? When he filed that motion, the response to that motion, they didn't file it under seal. So she was already named as CS1 in that motion, right? It was like a typo for the feds. At that point, that's where Cuffy can tell his story of wait. Shorty put me on X, Y, and Z. This was the reason why. She said because of Meech or not. We don't know. He can say that. She can confirm or deny that. What we do know what happened, Rich, is that when she got found out, you see this affidavit where they're referencing everything that she said?
Yeah.
She tried to walk that all back, sent the letter to the judge and to the defense attorneys basically saying, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And where they reference she was protecting her friend is what the Fed said in the paperwork. So she walks it back, says she looked at this, lied about that, and this person was never involved. So that means initially you said that person was involved, because that's the issue. Now you're getting death threats, you're outed, and then she goes to go see Meech twice. All of that's very suspicious. Because now it's like, oh, I'm found out of what I did. But guess what? If she didn't do anything for Meech, didn't do anything for anybody, she's already a DA informant. What is she trying to walk back?
The last stone that has to be unturned is Tammy Cowens.
That's it. She got to speak. She got to speak on it.
Wack 100, you have work to do, sir.
We went as far as the rabbit hole could go. Got to talk to Tam.
What a tangle web we weave, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But at that point in time, she wasn't really... See, that's where the paperwork gets kind of crazy, Rich, because the payment she's getting from Agent Cromer, right?
Right.
Doesn't match up with the work she's doing. She's not really turning anybody in at that time for the DEA. So she's on the books, but she's really not doing nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
She already turned the Terry nigga in. She got her bag from that. Remember, she walked in there and did that because the nigga put a name in some shit, right? She snitched on that nigga, became a reliable informant, but she's not working like that, right?
So let me ask you this, Prince. You don't think that Tammy would say, damn, these niggas getting all this money. I can't get none of this money? Some type
So
of broker.
you saying she set up that deal between Cuffy and Gatlin herself, knowing she was a hot DA informant? I don't know, because her phone hot. She the one that Suarez is calling when he can't find Cuffy. Suarez directly called her. When Cuffy didn't show up, she calling Cuffy. I mean Cuffy calling her to get Gatlin's number.
She ain't only living off this money.
That's crazy, bro. You see what I'm saying, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, we dealing with crazy people. This shit is diabolical.
Nah, for real. She been quiet all this time, huh? Since Big Meech got released.
Yeah.
Wasn't she supposed to drop like 50 was supposed to work with her to drop a dime or something like that? Supposing.
All right, listen. This is the crazy part about it, Rich. This is what nobody talked about. But they got this part wrong. I'm going to wake it up right now. The agent plus she's walking everything back once she's outed, right? So documents contained in the court's electronic docket in this case reflect that on March 18, 2015, former retained counsel for Gatlin advised the government via email that CS1 Tammy had had contacted one of his associates claiming, among other things, that the wiretap affidavit was factually inaccurate. So this is the confidential informant for the feds contacting Cuffy's associate saying that, hey, that affidavit to get the wiretaps into y'all niggas, I lied my ass off. How does that work, Rich?
I mean, that's lying to a federal officer, so that's a crime.
So CS1 also reportedly told the associate that the DEA agents in Atlanta, who was referenced in the affidavit, had been suspended or was under investigation. That was Agent Cromer. So think about the sequence of events, Rich. Once she sends that to the defense and to Gatlin's people, that the agent was being investigated by the OPR, they asked for a Franks hearing. Immediately.
Everybody's dirty.
Right? So here we go. So attorneys for the government apparently looked into allegations and advised the court and the defense counsel that the OPR was in fact investigating possible misconduct of one or more DEA agents who provided material information to the investigation in this case. If you go further into the documentation to the weeds, I'm not going to read it, they had a lot of shit going on in the DEA at that time. There was a lot of whistleblowing shit. A lot of agents was on the fucking take. A lot of that shit is sealed the fuck tight how much deep that rabbit hole went, right? So it wasn't just Agent Cromer. It wasn't just this agent. Like, that nigga was on the stand pleading the fifth his ass off about a lot of shit, right? I don't want to muddy the waters with it, but that's separate from everything else, right? She made that hot because she's outed at that point, right? And she snitched to the defense attorneys that, hey, Agent Dirty. They ain't know that. So at a hearing, the United States conceded on that record based on what was known about the internal investigation. All defendants were entitled to a Franks hearing, right? This is how we know about the paperwork. The United States further acknowledged that the defense counsel were entitled to additional disclosures related to the investigation pursuant to the government's obligations under Brady, right? And Giglio. You know, Giglio was impeachable material, Brady, all of that stuff, right? And the witnesses against you. Let me see. It says Agent Cromer and some of his direct reports were targets of the OPR and OIG investigation, and documents from that investigation reflect that Agent Cromer contested the claim misconduct. The United States produced the OPR and OIG documents on a rolling basis to defense counsel between February and early parts of May. At the evidentiary hearing, now pay attention real closely here. Now we're at the Franks hearing, right? You're challenging the validity of that warrant. At the evidentiary hearing, the United States presented testimony of 6 witnesses and documentary evidence regarding the veracity of the statements in the affidavit. Specifically, the United States presented the testimony of Tammy, who testified about the events on August 5th, 2012. So remember, she's testing at the Franks hearing, Rich. So Tammy's up there. Remember, she's testifying on August 5th, 2012 about the relationship between her, Meech, Cuffy, and Suarez. That's in the evidentiary hearing transcript, volume 1, document 406. The United States also presented testimony of retired DEA special agent from Atlanta, Jack Harvey. Remember Harvey? Remember the Harvey dude? That was the original handler, right? Who testified about how CS1 became a confidential source for the DEA. Tammy's role with Agent Harvey was a controlling agent for her in events leading up to the OPR and OIG investigation into Agent Cromer. DEA Special Agent testified about threats directed to CS1 in the spring of 2015, after electronically filed court documents in this case became publicly available. Finally, the United States presented testimony of the DEA St. Louis agents who had responsibility for preparing the affidavit. So you get what they got everything from. They got Tammy up there, they got the agents up there, they got the agent testify about the threats against her life, And they have the agent testify about the relationship between her, Meech, Cuffy, and Suarez. Track it so far? Let me see. So the defendants presented the testimony of 7 witnesses and documentary evidence regarding the veracity of the statements in the affidavit. The relationship between Tammy and Agent Cromer, payments made to Tammy by or at the direction of Agent Cromer, and Tammy's contribution or lack of contribution to investigations for which she received compensation. That's the issue. Real quick. I'm scrolling real fast. Agent Cromer initially invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, but subsequently waived his right by providing substantive answers to questions posed by the defense counsel. Task Force agents Aguilar and Swoop respectfully asserted their Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, thus they didn't provide any testimony. Although Task Force Officer Smith initially indicated that he would indeed take his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, he waived his right by providing answers to questions posed by the defense counsel. So 2 out of the 4 of those Task Force agents pleaded the Fifth. They all technically pleaded the Fifth in the beginning. More than likely they got immunity and they fucking ran their mouths. And the other 2 said, fuck that. We ain't saying shit. Right? Now, they found all witnesses to be credible, with the exception of Tammy, right? Whose testimony was not entirely credible for reasons addressed below. Tammy, let's break this down. She first became a confidential informant for the DEA Atlanta in 2009 when she provided information in a money laundering case which resulted in the successful prosecution and conviction of an individual named Terry White. Pay very close attention. 1 second. According to Agent Harvey, Tammy was the heart and soul of the Terry White case. Agent Harvey testified that Tammy was an unusual informant in that she had no criminal record, was not known to be a drug user, did not appear to be motivated by money, was not looking to get a reduced prison sentence or dismissal of criminal charges. Tammy appeared to be motivated to make up for the fact that White had used her to unwittingly the drug money. She provided significant information during the investigation of the case, which was used in various searches. The investigation, which started in 2008, culminated with us in 2009, and White was convicted and sentenced in 2011. She eventually received an award of approximately $55,000 for the Terry White case, Rich. Although CS1 was not initially a paid DA informant, CS1's controlling agent, Agent Harvey, put in an award that would be a percentage of the value of property forfeited by White, because her information was so beneficial to the DEA when they made the seizures. After Agent Harvey retired in 2011, CS1 became a paid DA informant under the supervision of Task Force Officer Swoop and Task Force Officer Swoop Supervisor, DEA, Atlanta Group Supervisor, Keith Cromer. Although the precise scope of CS1 after Agent Harvey's retirement is not entirely clear, Tammy testified credibly that she was paid on a monthly basis for things like picking up money or drugs or making phone calls in drug investigations. So that's what they're using her for, right? She's testifying that all she's doing is picking up money or drugs and making phone calls in drug investigations. According to the testimony of Agent Cromer, she was paid on a monthly basis for providing actionable information that could lead investigators to a drug source of supply in ongoing long-term investigations. For example, pay attention. How does she do that? What did we use her for? This is the agent testifying. We don't believe no police though. For example, according to Agent Cromer, information from Tammy that Fidel Suarez, a California-based Mexican national known to law enforcement to be a suspected drug distributor, and Cuffy were conspiring to engage in drug trafficking activity, was the sort of actionable information for which CS1 might receive payment. I'm gonna read it one more time for everybody. This is the head agent that's in charge talking about, let's give you an example of what actionable information is. I'm gonna read it one time more. Once again. For example, according to the agent, information from Tammy that Fidel Suarez, a California-based Mexican national known to law enforcement to be a suspected drug distributor, and Gatlin or Cuffy were conspiring to engage in drug trafficking activity, was the sort of actionable information for which Tammy might receive payment. So how can anybody sit there and tell me that Tammy's not involved in a conspiracy putting Suarez together with Gatlin? She's the one that's telling the agent about the conspiracy. Sometime after Tammy became a paid DA informant, in violation of DEA policy, pay attention here, Tammy and Agent Cromer developed an intimate personal relationship. Specifically, according to Tammy and Agent Cromer developed a relationship that started as a friendship and evolved into a sexual relationship that lasted through 2012. Agent Cromer admitted that his relationship with CS1 became personal in violation of DEA policy, but denied that it was ever sexual in nature. It says this aspect of Agent Cromer's testimony is not entirely credible in light of Tammy's testimony. Agent Cromer's admission that he and Tammy took trips together, and intimate photographs of Agent Cromer extracted from Tammy's cell phone. Intimate extractions from Tammy's cell phone. There is no evidence that either the St. Louis agents who prepared the affidavit or the Atlanta agents who worked with Agent Cromer and Tammy were aware of their relationship. Although Agent Cromer testified that all payments made to Tammy during her tenure as a paid informant were proper, testimony of Agent Murphy and Task Force Officer Smith, as well as Agent Harvey, called into question the propriety under DA policy of Agent Cromer's authorization of payments to CS1 on a nearly monthly basis. In addition, testimony by Agent Hewitt and Task Force Officer Hooks suggested that Tammy may have inappropriately received an award for an investigation for which CS2 actually provided actual information. Now, Rich, anyone else listening, that's the first time you ever heard about a CS2 involved in all of this, right? Once again, Agent Hewitt and Task Force Hook suggested that CS1 may have inappropriately received an award for an investigation for which CS2 actually provided actionable information. Nobody knows who the hell that is. Tammy's relationship with Flannery, Suarez, and Gatlin. I'm going to keep asking you a simple question, Rich. This is Cuffy's memorandum paperwork. How many times are you going to hear Flannery's name in here? I mean, how many times? It shouldn't be in here at all, right? It should just be Fidel Suarez, CS1, and Cuffy. His name should not be in here at all, right? When CS1 became an informant, CS1 was and had been a longtime friend of Big Meech. Specifically, Tammy held Flannery's power of attorney and life rights with creative control. Those rights, by Tammy's estimation, could be worth as much as $1 million. Both Agent Harvey and Agent Cromer were aware of Tammy's relationship with Big Meech. Tammy testified that Big Meech was a very well-known, and it was not at all unusual for Tammy to receive calls from total strangers asking about Big Meech. It was due to Tammy's relationship with Meech that Tammy first came in contact with Fidel Suarez and Gatlin. Back it up a little bit. Tammy testified that Big Meech was well known, and it was not at all unusual for Tammy to receive calls from total strangers asking about Big Meech. It was due to Tammy's relationship with Big Meech that Tammy first came in contact with both Fidel Suarez and Cuffy. Y'all know when I take a side, you know it's about to happen. I need everybody to ping up and share the room.
Prince, someone in the chat wants to know who CS2 is.
I don't know who CS2 is. CS2 was never named.
Hidden character.
There's no reference to CS2, but the only indication is that CS2 gave up some information and should have gotten an award, and that award went to Tammy. I'm gonna side one more time. Rich, I'm sorry, brother. In September of 2011, Big Meech requested Tammy's help coordinating delivery of a load of cocaine to be controlled by Suarez, who at that point was already in contact with Tammy. I'm gonna read it one more time. In September of 2011, remember those calls happened in 2012 between Suarez and Gatlin. Pay attention to the timeline. In September of 2011, Big Meech requested Tammy's help coordinating delivery of a load of cocaine to be controlled by Suarez, who at that point was already in contact with Tammy. You want to know how they know this? Reference the evidentiary hearing, Volume 9, document 443, pages 3 through 43, and Government Exhibit 48. They got evidence of that statement. I'm gonna read it one more time. After today, all this shit's over. CS1 testified that Big Meech was testified that Big Meech was a very well known, and it was not at all unusual for Tammy to receive calls from strangers asking about Flannery. It was due to Tammy's relationship with Big Meech that Tammy first came in contact with both Fidel Suarez and Gatlin. In September of 2011, months before the conspiracy started with them, Flannery requested Tammy's help coordinating delivery of a load of coke to be controlled by Suarez, who at that point was already in contact with Tammy. Tammy credibly testified that she first met Suarez by telephone when Suarez contacted CS1 to ask how Big Meech was doing. Pay attention here. I'm going to read this very slowly. Tammy credibly testified that she first met Suarez by telephone when Suarez contacted CS1 to ask how Flannery was doing. Flannery confirmed that he and Suarez were friends and that they had met in the county jail in Michigan. Although Tammy did not meet Suarez in person, she spoke with Suarez by phone and text. Additionally, Suarez sent a picture to Tammy. Sometime in 2012, Suarez Tammy if she knew someone who might want to buy some pills. According to Tammy, he or she was in the car with Agent Cromer during this first narcotics-related conversation with Suarez. Agent Cromer overheard the call and signaled to Tammy to say yes, that he knew someone. Tammy was later contacted by an agent in California regarding Suarez. So she's in the fucking car with the agent, probably sucking them off or some shit. And then she gets a phone call from Suarez asking, do you know where I can let off some pills? And says, oh, let's put them on speaker. Tell him yes. As with Suarez, Cuffy first contacted Tammy to see what Flannery was doing in jail. Based on discussions with both Cuffy and Big Meech, Tammy understood that Cuffy and Big Meech were friends. Initially, Tammy's relationship with Gatlin was more of a business relationship, and communications centered more around faith rights. However, at some point, Flannery asked Tammy to connect Gatlin and Suarez, and the relationship between Tammy, Gatlin, and Suarez turned to narcotics. I'm gonna stop right there. I don't think I need to further read. Rich, you still here? I know he ain't leave. He asked for the man. He asked for the whole.
Damn.
I know I ain't just read that whole.
No, people are into it in the Google. Like,
I ain't just read
That
we
shit
were
crazy.
listening, but that nigga left.
He heard enough. He heard enough.
Heard enough.
Man.
He heard enough, bro.
That's some crazy work.
Who that?
Rydell.
Rydell, bro. Rydell, I need you, bro.
I ain't gonna participate.
I know you're not. I know you're not even goddamn, bro.
I ain't gonna participate.
Listen. I'll do it.
If you go to my last picture in my PTRs,
Let me see.
you'll see why.
Let me see. My nigga. You know what? Let me do it, bro. Let me do it. Oh, man. All right, listen, bro. Y'all know me. I'm tired of reading, right? I've been reading 3 documents in a row. Does anybody got a question whether or not?
Yeah, hell yeah, I got hella questions.
What question you got, Obi?
Okay, so the nigga Cuffy told.
1000%.
Oh, that's crazy.
1000%.
Damn.
It's
That's
even
bullshit.
It's even colder. It's even colder how when you really break down like how he got away with it for so long, it's diabolical because them niggas hooked him up so much without a 5K1, without a Rule 35B, without really nothing on paper, right?
What?
He don't got none of that.
What that mean? Hold on, wait. So how you tell if ain't nothing on paper?
That nigga pleading, bruh. What that nigga had to plead to? I laugh. We going to drill. Me and you in the car. You tell me to get out. I go pop son. I come back in the car. They know the whole story. Sign right here. You just sign right here that you directed the murder You didn't pay the dude. You sent him to go do it. He did it, and you drove him back. Okay, cool. Who was that person again? Was Andre Rush? I bet.
Clubhouse TV. Clubhouse TV. Clubhouse TV.
What's going on YouTube? Clubhouse TV, back with another one. You already know what it is, man, and I certainly appreciate you for checking back in, checking out the content, man. Now, today's discussion centers around one question that's been dominating social media. Who actually cooperated according to available court records? Was it Cuffy or was it Big Meech? Now, before we get started, remember that paperwork debates are some of the most controversial conversations in hip-hop. Everybody has an opinion, but paperwork should always be read carefully and in context before reaching any conclusions. Now, during the discussion, Wack brought attention to exposer Prince, who goes line by line through sealed court documents. Now, rather than relying on rumors or clips, Prince focuses on what the paperwork itself says and explains why certain records were filed under seal. Now, one of the biggest points Prince raises is that sealed documents are not automatically evidence that someone cooperated, but could be. Court records can be sealed for a number of legal reasons, including protecting ongoing investigations, sensitive information, witness safety, or other procedural matters. Prince attempts to explain those legal distinctions while comparing the available filings. Now, as the paperwork breakdown continues, Prince points out dates, filing numbers, and procedural details that many people online have overlooked. According to his analysis, simply seeing the word seal on a document does not answer the question everybody wants answered. Instead, he argues that people need to examine the entire timeline before making his accusations. And that's exactly why he read the complete sealed paperwork online in its entirety. Now, Wack reacts by saying this is exactly why paperwork conversations become so heated online. In his view, too many people take screenshots out of context without understanding what the documents actually represent. He emphasized that if someone is going to accuse another person based on paperwork, the evidence should be complete and not selectively presented. Now, throughout the clubhouse room, the debate shifts back and forth as different interpretations of the records are discussed. Some people remain convinced one side has been exposed, while others argue that the documents don't prove what many internet commentators claim they prove. The biggest takeaway from the conversation isn't necessarily who won the paperwork debate. It's the paperwork should be evaluated carefully with context rather than relying on headlines or viral clips. As always, the paperwork discussions often continue long after the room ends, and this one appears to be no different. The conversation is likely to continue as more people review the court records and share their own interpretations. Now, y'all let me know what y'all think about the content in the comments. Did Exposer Prince successfully explain the paperwork, or do you think there are still unanswered questions? Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you're always notified when I drop new content. Subscribe to the media team so you get that exclusive Wack 100 content. Any questions, suggestions, need me to advertise for you on my channel? With over 50,000 subscribers, just get at me on IG and I'll get right back to you. As always, I certainly appreciate you for checking out Clubhouse TV, and you already know I'm off to the next one. I'm out, y'all. Peace.